Hello and welcome to Tear Off Your Skin, my Sunday evening hangout show. So I hope you're all comfortable with your skin removed, and you're welcome to join the show. I hope you're gonna enjoy the show. Did you know that the face is actually like very poorly attached to your skull? If you just cut around the lip and cut around the face, you can just remove it right off. You should try it sometime. I'm joined tonight by Phil the Trail and by
Hello.
the existential threat to the hobby, Shauner. Welcome, guy. And tonight we want to
Hello.
talk about how to describe charm and perception and insanity and all those kind of things where the character, in a way, kind of lose control of himself without role playing the character for the player, right? Without going into second person. So, how you been, guys? First of
Good.
all, good.
I've been
I was-
well.
I was gonna
Sorry.
use a hole punch and put holes in my eyelid, so when I close my eyes, I can still see you guys. Skin is so overrated.
Efficient.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you know,
yeah, I'm taking the pro skin position on the panel. I know I'm not welcome here with that kind of.
Less
well,
is
it's
more.
good to have dissenting voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wish, Phil, you never played Call of Cthulhu, right?
No, but secret game is getting arranged. Maybe we'll see.
Oh wow, secret game, eh? A grown ass man that never played Call of Cthulhu.
He's a 4D GM and he's never played Call of Cthulhu. It's been around for like 40 years, 44 years. Where have you been? When did you hear about the
Also
game?
like
You heard about the game last week?
Call of Cthulhu. No, I've heard about it since the Arkham Horror board game and all that junk.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So you're legit then, sort of, kind of. You at least heard of it. You seen
That's
people
up
play
to
it on
y'all.
YouTube.
Apparently, I don't have the authority to call myself.
You saw
legit.
the experts play it on YouTube so far, right?
Never.
Yeah, I watched Seth Sorkarski.
Oh no, no, no. The Gentleman Gamer has a few decent sessions on his channel
Big fan.
from a long time
I
ago.
never watched it. Let me say
I watched the infamous HD.
Oh no,
Yeah.
that's the
Oh
worst.
yeah.
Not
That's
to
the-
derail this stream.
That's the
Yeah,
worst
let's-
way to roleplay.
Let's say hi to the people in chat first. Also, we need to remember the rules. So...
Yeah.
But
It was
we can
most
talk
excellent.
about it.
It was the best, excellent, most
Well,
bestest roleplay example ever. Then
we can talk about it, right? But just like be civil about it. Hello, Doodle Squatch. Nice seeing you. You say you got no skin in this game about like the going with skin or without skin. So I ain't no skin to take off your skin and dance. Ain't no sin to take off your skin and dance around your bones. Yeah, you can keep the flesh though. I'm a big fan of muscle, keeping the muscle and the and the sinew and shit.
have you been to a muscle museum?
Yeah.
Did they have one of those in Canada?
Oh, we had like a traveling exposition where like they with the body that are preserved without skin. We call them écorchés.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they have like
Yeah.
in the museum I went to, it was humans with their skin ripped off and they're doing daily stuff during the day.
Yeah,
and it shows how the muscles and how the lungs and the
That's what this exposition went traveling around at some point.
okay.
And it came to Montreal and I went to see it. I was an artist, so that was interesting for me, right? Obviously.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, since I used to draw a lot and do a lot of like posing and stuff like that.
So it's just a lot of like bodies and muscle structures.
Sculptures. If you were a kid, you played around with the Visible Man or the Visible
Hello,
Man
Rick.
models.
Hey,
It's like that.
How you doing?
good.
So have
You
you ever
guys-
seen a skinless body?
Oh
Yeah.
no,
Oh, Rick's got his moving camera.
Hmm?
Rick's got his tracking camera on. I should turn mine on
yes.
Yeah. And hello, Nicolas. I watched your video today. And
Nicholas have a
Arun
channel? I gotta subscribe
and
to this.
Dragon's Shadow. Yeah, he does have a channel. It's a new channel, I guess. But he's developing a game and he's talking about it. Got interesting stuff. Yeah.
Sub
It's always good to have a new
Nicholas.
voice. Yeah. So we all seen those games. If we want to do like insanity and perception and charm and stuff like that, right? It's easy to do if you do like the 2D stuff where you take away control from the player. And all of a sudden, like you just like the player just become like a passive member. But what if you want to do not that?
Okay, so that means just saying, as a preamble, because typically lots of insanities and stuff, you have a defensive role to it sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like if I'm going to say you need to make let's do D&D, charisma save.
Yeah, that would be for
And it's
charm and
like-
stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, so that person just made a charisma save, and now I'm like, you see, I don't know. That's the point where it gets tricky, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, as soon as you tell someone to make a charisma save, they should know something's up, right?
Just say it without using you.
Yeah, you could do that.
I'm sorry.
Because like for the character, you just describe what is there. It's there for them, right? If they fill the insanity role. What do you think, Rick? If you want to stay in narrator mode.
Well, yeah, you do. You would tell them in the vicinity you see,
Uh-oh.
or yeah,
Oh, oh.
you sorry, in the vicinity.
Can't
there
do
lost your
is
turn.
Blah,
You
blah,
lost your
blah,
turn,
Blah
Rick.
blah. Yeah. Come on, I just got off work,
That's
so
fine,
yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It takes.
But I mean,
you have to twist your mind inside out.
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
don't know the name for the show.
How
Twist
does the GM describe a player being taken over by a evil spirit without saying you?
That's even trickier. Let's come back to that. Like I want to let's do insanity first because I think insanity.
Same
I
thing.
think that's easier, but let's
If you get an hallucination and stuff like that, I think it's easier because you can just describe. And I would say like the way I would try to do it.
Or who
It's
describes
not necessarily the way I
ins-
would do it.
Who describes the
describes insanity?
insanity? The player or the GM?
It depends. It depends. What type of insanity, right? If it's
Okay.
hallucination and stuff like that,
Okay.
I
then
would say my
it's-
goal as a player. I'm sorry, I thought you were pausing. I would say my goal as a player is I want to describe it. Like I hate having it described to me. That's my favorite part is when I get to
But,
roleplay
okay.
as an insane person.
Yeah. That's
Here's what about if it's hallucination, right? Then you can just describe what the characters see, like if it was real.
Mhm.
Wouldn't that work?
right. Certainly.
There's blood
Especially,
that start like pouring off from the wall, right? There's like
especially if you just like make a charisma save. Okay, the walls are melting. Like they're gonna
Yeah.
be like, well, that's unusual, and the other players are gonna be like, wow, the walls are melting. Like,
But-
no, idiot.
that's that you
How-
tell that to
how
one
do
player,
you-
right?
How do you
Does it
limit it to
feel?
just the crazy guy that sees
Yeah.
the stuff? Everyone else
I think
doesn't see.
saying the name of the character first, like let's say like Phil.
Yeah.
If that's the name of your character.
It is.
We all know it's not your real name.
You know,
Okay.
that's super interesting because you got I just typed on here that I was watching Solaris before I joined.
No spoilers.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet.
And well, some
It's been
of
out for years.
the,
year.
but-
It takes an hour to spoil the movie.
oh god, yeah, it's such a long movie. But it was interesting that one of the scientists was thinking maybe I'm the only one imagining all this is happening,
Mhm.
and he was going crazy because he was kind of it's hypothesized that he was going crazy because he thought he was the only one imagining these things happening around him when the other crew members were also imagining these kind of weird apparitions in the
He would ask the other crew members if they saw what
Yeah.
he was seeing.
Yeah, there
Well, I
was
think-
there was one part where he's watching a broadcast of his buddy, of his friend, and put it in context. He arrived at the station. He discovered that his friend, a fellow scientist, killed himself and left a message. And so he was watching the message on like the video screen, and he had this girl pass by him and did something. And he goes, "Oh, did you see her?" He kind of mentioned that in the video. So, if you see her, things are real. This is happening.
It's like found footage.
Yeah. It was very interesting. It's a good
But I
good movie. You got to watch it.
So how do
I
you
think
get
that's very
players to
interesting when
do
we
that
talk
in
about
a
role.
game?
That's what I said. I think it's very interesting when we talk about role playing, right? Because like
Yeah.
if the GM describe what the characters see, real or not, without distinction, right? As if it was real. You just maybe say like sitting in the character because like you're the one seeing that, right?
Yeah.
I like the
But,
idea of saying the player's name.
Yeah, but then the
players-
player can decide to react in different way because sometimes when you have a hallucination, which we all did before, right? We all like those bout of madness in our life.
We have.
I'm
We
sure.
have?
No, okay, maybe it's just me. But like
Yes.
you kind of know that something's off. You kind of know that something is not real or not correct, right? And unless you're really far gone, but that's something that the player can decide to interact with. Like your character sees something that logically there's still a part of your brain that know that it's not correct. If it goes far enough, if you've seen a bunch of shit, like you've seen a bunch of horror that now like that is real, has been confirmed to you is real, then that all bet is off. You don't know what's real and not anymore. But if it's just the first kind of like glimpse with insanity that you get, usually you kind of know like, and you're gonna try to act normally, or you're gonna try to confirm with somebody else. Maybe try to confirm with somebody else discreetly, so they don't think that you're insane, right? They don't realize you're going insane. I think that's like a very interesting field of role playing there, right?
I think that if you wanted to explore that as a field and a game type, you don't want them going insane with a bunch of people around, like at first. You want them to question if what's happening to them is real, right? So you kind of get that, like, there's no, and that way the player can't go, okay, well, this person doesn't see it, I'm crazy.
You want a comparison of before after, so
Mhm.
other players will recognize something's changing with one of the players or something.
But also, if you have good player, they're not just gonna like, oh, okay, that's a hallucination and brush it off. They're gonna play into it, right? That's a big part of the fun of the experience, no?
Or a different kind of game would be the player starts out crazy, but the other players don't know this. And they find this out during the game, that this one character is crazy the whole time.
Yeah, that's something also that can be defined from the get-go, and then maybe you can leave like some control on the player about their craziness.
So would you be okay with die rolls to determine if a player recognizes their own sanity disappearing?
Yes,
Like
I would.
they see something crazy, but they roll and they failed their roll, so they don't know they're crazy. They think it's real. They think they're fine and everything's fine.
I would allow that. I would like if it could be like a logic skill kind of thing, something that doesn't add up.
Yeah.
And
I would
the way I
never
would play
do
it,
like I want to be crazy.
Because otherwise the player has to decide for themselves, okay, I'm crazy now, so I role play a crazy person.
but it doesn't make you not crazy. It makes you realize that you are going crazy. And that's also interesting, like because like if you are going crazy and you kind of know, that can be like a fucking terrifying experience.
Okay, you're going crazy and you don't know you're going crazy, and then at some point you realize you're crazy.
Yeah,
that's like a whole other, that's like all kinds of different crazy.
If I was playing Call of Cthulhu, then of course I would have the rules and that sort of thing in with the game itself. and the players are supposed to end up, having some of their sanity reduced. It's expected.
Mhm.
But if I'm playing something like, if I'm doing a traveler game and I really want my players to guess, to not know what they're seeing is actually real, or if it's a collective hallucination, like in Solaris kind of idea. It you want to have that kind of mystery in the game. So omitting the roll to me would be okay. I would look at the character levels of sanity, which one's got better sanity than the other character,
Mhm.
and maybe give the one with the higher sanity more hints to something's a little bit off here, as the other players are, interacting with everything naturally.
But what if you let the player decide how much they want to lean into it or not? Maybe they can make a role for themselves, right? But just like
Yeah.
to inform their own role play. Like I'm gonna make a logic roll, and if I roll I, then I'm gonna say like I'm gonna role play my character. Like, I think I might be losing it. I'm gonna try to pretend not to, but I cannot trust my own sense anymore and stuff like that. If I roll low, maybe I'm gonna go all maniac and think that everything I see is real, right? And just like inform my own role play.
Mhm.
The GM doesn't have to give me in and stuff like that. I just use the roll on my own to decide in which direction I want to take it.
Do you ever do rolls for your character to see if an NPC is giving you some unreliable narration? You want to see if an NPC is lying to you, so you make a roll. You ever do that?
I wouldn't make a
Sure.
roll to see if a NPC is lying to me. I could make a roll to see if I believe him or not, right? Or if I don't know. Because
I've
like I
definitely made that
cannot
roll.
decide if the NPC is lying to me. That's I think that's going too far. That's like
Because if let's say they make the roll, then they know the NPCs are lying. That kind of like
Mhm.
spoils it.
Yeah.
How do you know in real life? How do you know if somebody's lying to you?
Oh, when they talk, they look away. They do this. When they're talking, they're not looking you in the eye. That's one way to know they're lying.
They're opening their mouth. I'm sorry.
What if they're a good liar? They're opening their mouth. They're politicians.
It's a good
What's
question, but
What's
I
another thing
mean,
people do when they lie? I can't remember.
Well, a big thing also is about motivation, right? And like what people want, like, and if it's congruent to other stuff, right?
it's kind of a
But people
different
lie
topic.
all the
but
time.
In the
Maybe
movies, they always
those
sweat. They
those
always look
types
nervous.
of insight roles or whatever. Maybe the GM should be making them privately. Just be like, something's off about this, or you don't know whether to believe this person or not. I don't know. That sounds like
That's
telling the player how they feel. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like maybe it's a bit of off topic, but
yeah,
maybe
it is.
not. Maybe
a
it's kind of
different
related
topic.
because it's all like about those. How do you tell something that the player like can perceive without just saying like,
Mhm.
without
Yeah,
telling them how they feel, right?
that's next week's episode.
Right there.
Well, we have time.
We still have to figure out how to do the
let's do the insanity
the
first.
the player control without saying you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, I think like for hallucination, right?
You just
Would that be
narrate the
would that be
hallucination.
just
obviously.
narrating as if it was real, right? Just like you just narrate
Mhm.
what the character sees, real or not, doesn't matter.
That's
And then
what I
the
do.
player can decide how his character is going to react to those things, right? If it's nonsensical, like, like if it's not completely far gone, you can decide. What do you think? Would that be the way to do it?
Here you go, Rick. You haven't said much.
I would just play, it
It's hard.
yeah, it depends on the feel of the game that you want to put on your players,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
if you're like I was saying, if you want the players to kind of know whether or not they're crazy or not, I mean, let them do the roles. That's definitely and let them play that out. That's awesome. But there might be some players out there that might want to still guess, want to go through the experience and really guess. Were we actually on that starship? Were we actually on that planet, you know, in the
It
end
was
of
all a
it.
dream.
Yeah, I mean, you could end it, you know,
You wake
you
up-
know, end the session, and
And then in their
they
bed
still
next
don't
to them
know.
is the probe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all gonna. I'm
I've
gonna
been
end all my
sleeping
session
with
like that.
this thing.
Where did this
Ah!
come from?
You all wake up. It was all a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wake up right when everything's hitting the fan. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you're gonna go through it for real this time.
Oh, that'd be
Yeah,
cool.
so
But that's interesting what you say. Like, if you want to know, if you want your players to know they're going crazy or not, do you want that?
I mean,
Well,
I would.
like Rick
Social
says, I mean, it's
contract.
totally based on what kind of game you're running.
Is
Yeah.
it a horror?
Like, is the game about
Suspense.
going crazy, or is
Yeah.
the game about,
The tone,
you know,
the theme.
mystical people messing with your head? Like, I don't know. I
Machine
think that
elves.
kind of informs how you deal with it.
I signed up for
Like
World
Rick
War
said.
II.
Totally
and it was
agree with Rick.
World War Weird or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm you know a big fan of like emotional alignment between your character and the player, right? I think that's like when you reach that, you really like immerse and you're really like touching the essence of role play, right?
Yeah.
When you feel to some extent how your character would feel in that situation.
I'm calling
love
it
this in-
submerged now. I don't know if you
Submerge.
guys- submerging.
It's even deeper.
Submergent.
It's even more
Yep.
immersed. Sorry.
Emergency.
Yeah. But it's well, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
So yeah, I love this uncertainty, right? If I'm doing something with insanity, that's like I don't know like how I don't know why I would want to send a clear signal to the player you're going insane, right? I think it can be like if the setting is well defined and stuff like that. If they go in the unknown, right, and they go in totally different environment that what their character would be used to, then yeah, there's gonna be more uncertainty, which would be normal and would be desired. If you're like in the 1920s, right, and just like stuff like that, and everybody's talking fast with an high pitched, well, then like when you start like seeing like random stuff, you know it's not to be expected to be there, so you can like kind of guess, okay, I'm going insane, right? Just like, but when you go insane, you never really, are you? I don't know. Are you never really
Would you
sure,
want to?
right?
Would you want to metagame while you're going insane? Because some players want to know how much insane they've gone, so they can
Mhm.
role play how much insane they are. But then that spoils it.
Yeah.
For me, I want to be surprised how insane I am. I don't want to know by the book, you know, the exact value on my character sheet, percentage of sanity left. I don't want to know that.
And it's
stuff.
also an evolving thing, right?
It's
It
changing.
evolves. Yeah.
And I think the cool parts of stories that deal with insanity are those moments of clarity where the person's like, "Oh crap,
Yeah.
I'm going insane," and
Or
then
what if you're just turning
I
into an
can't,
alien?
and then they like talking to their friend, and they're like, "I'm going insane, I can't help it," and then I don't know.
Hey, what if
Those
you're
things
turning?
are
What if you're
tangible.
turning into an alien and
Yeah.
your mind is turning alien and you're thinking like an alien, and you're not going to think human much longer
I would be. Well, would that be different than going insane?
because your brain's changing.
Yeah.
So how do
Your
you
whole-
describe to a player that their brain is becoming an alien?
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
have
How
to
you
see-
do
Because
would have
now
to
we're going into the topic of like, because like I said, like if you just like go with like you cannot rely on your sense anymore. You're having hallucinations, stuff like that. I think that can be handled with narration. Okay, now we're talking like your brain's changing, or you having those intrusive thought,
a
those
hive mind.
compulsion. You know those what?
Hive mind,
Ooh, well, that's easy
Or-
then,
yeah.
because you
or
get the
psionic.
start
A
getting
voice in you.
whispers and stuff.
or you develop psionics or something,
Yeah.
or you're like an ant doing the chemical tracing to communicate with.
Anything that gives you like those kind of, and I don't know if this is different than insanity, but anything that gives you those kind of external things like demon
Yeah.
possession or stuff like that, you can have someone like whispering in your ear,
Yeah.
or some like current
A
of
voice on the back of the
hive
head.
communication. And you're like, oh, this is different. But at the same time, it's like you kind of have to say the you in that one.
Well, session 0, you're gonna have to.
There
figure
is a
these things out
sound of-
before you start the game.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everyone's on a different page of what insane.
Well, figure what out.
You can see like a voice whisper in the
Let's-
back of your head, right?
A
Let's say
setting.
we're in a session 0 and we're figuring
Hmm?
it out. What would that look like?
I would start mentioning movies that have crazy scenes in them.
Jacob's
I never
Ladder.
watched a movie.
Let's role play
Original.
role players in a
The
session zero.
Grudge. Like I like 20 years ago, I liked The Ring. That was my go-to.
I never saw it.
The Ring,
Yeah.
the Japanese one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know what he's talking about, but
yeah, I saw it.
What's another
Yeah.
one? Some people like Event Horizon
yeah, okay.
I
So
like it.
or 28 Days Later.
Yeah. Well, 28 days later, there's
Is
no insanity going on, no? Is it?
The guy thinks he's
No.
insane. Kind of. He's the only person around going. He's in
Yeah.
his hospital sheet going, hello, hello. And there's like no one in London. Everyone's gone.
looked like for like a
He did-
day, maybe.
That's not nice.
You wake up and you don't know if you're awake. You wake up in a hospital and you don't know where everyone is. And you don't know if you're
Mhm.
even awake. You might still be under the drip.
So is it okay to say you when someone's going crazy? I think we have to make an
No.
exception here.
No, I don't think so. I think you
Well,
can do without.
How
But that's
about
what
the
we
cat-
need to
the-
figure out.
Let's say in Alien, in Alien, Ripley's character is looking at the computer screen to see what system they're in.
Yeah.
And, she rolls to do a sensor scan or something. And then the GM just says what's on her screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's describing the wrong stuff. It's not
You're
really
20
on the
parsecs
screen.
away from Candyland Mountain. Like what? Candyland Mountain. It's 20
Glitches on the
parsecs.
screen, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
It's not
Yeah, the
bad.
screen says 20 minutes until orbit around Candyland Island.
You're 2 days out from your mother's bedroom. What? That's weird.
I mean, that would give it away like right away. You want to be subtle, don't you?
Well, you don't-
Yeah. You want to have like little glitches first, and then
That's
start.
that's a little glitch. You're 2
Well, how do
parsecs
you
away from
how do you
your mom's
describe the
bedroom.
glitches in the Matrix to a player character?
Yeah. You see
I
a
think
black
that
cat.
would work is that like if it's the computer telling you that, right? I think that's subtle enough because like is the computer wrong? Is the computer doing something like uncouth? Is there a bug? Like is the computer going insane or am I going insane? Is that really what the screen is saying?
Yeah, and then
Or
someone
it's just
else
like what
comes
I'm
up.
Yeah.
Someone else comes
Or,
up and it's like, what are you talking
And
about?
say,
It
and say
says-
like, look at that. Look at this, what the screen is saying.
Yeah,
And then the
other
GM can
player-
say like at the other character, the screen says you're 2 parsec away from Solaris, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
and then the player say, what's wrong? That seemed all right to me.
Yeah, whenever that one character looks at the screen, the GM says what's on the screen.
So
Just
that's a
do
good
that.
portal for whenever someone's looking at something as an individual.
Yeah.
And then the doctor wants to examine the patient in the sick bay for further treatments. Maybe
Yeah.
the doctor's been giving her drugs in her food.
Yeah.
Let me
Doing
catch
an
up on
experiment.
chat a bit. See that people have been talking, mostly Nicola. Yeah, I suppose each player will play it differently. I often have waking dreams at night, and I can rationalize the stuff I see as impossible. It just is. That's interesting. Of you, like, because we're talking just like, am I with the 28 millimeter example, 28 day later example? Sorry, Rick, I got a brain fart there.
28 milliliters.
The 28 days later, right? When the guy wake up and he doesn't know if he's in a dream and stuff like that, right? Does that happen to you? Sometimes like you like something like, sometimes you have those dreams that kind of feel like real life, and at some point you're kind of confused, and then you say like, nah, that's not fucking right.
Yeah.
No.
It takes like 20 seconds to realize, oh, I'm asleep. I'm at home. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not in the far future.
So you're just constantly in a lucid dream, sure.
Not constant.
When you're sleeping.
I said
But you
well,
got
when
30
wake up,
seconds.
you wake up and you have 10 seconds to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
The sun is that direction, not that direction.
Or when you wake up not at home, right? Just like,
Yeah. That's
Like
weird.
if the light in the room is just right and your eyes aren't focused and you're looking and you don't recognize the place for like a few seconds. Then it wears off and you're like, no, I want to go back. I want to go back. I'm stuck in Earth in California now.
My family. I don't know.
You had a perfect dream and it's over now. That kind of thing.
but yeah, when you have a lucid dream, right? Let's say, and then there's some crazy stuff happening around you, And at some point, you kind of realize, oh, okay, I'm dreaming. And then you just go along with it. What if it never ends? And at some point, like, well, wait,
Never
am I
ends.
dreaming?
Mm-hmm.
How would you know if it never? At what point do you realize it's not going to ever end?
I don't think you
Like
do.
when you
Good
wake
question,
up.
eh?
When you follow your dead son's body up into the sky, up into the stairs, following him up into the heavens, as he guides you to the light, something like that.
When you fell down a cliff, you fall down a cliff, and instead of waking up, you feel the pain, and it's okay, that's just real.
Okay, did you guys all see The Sixth Sense?
Yes.
Okay, that one when I saw that movie, I was in what's it called when you don't believe anything you just saw? I was in denial the whole entire time.
Denial.
It's like, no way, he's not dead. He's not dead. No
Is
way.
it cognitive dissonance or something?
I was like, that's impossible. And then they're showing all the different examples of how he was a ghost all this time.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't believe it. I'm in denial.
He's not a ghost. Yeah.
I was with one girlfriend and she's telling me 5 minutes into the movie, he's dead. He's dead. I know it. He's dead.
Oh yeah.
She
figured it out, or she got it spoiled?
She figured it out like 2 seconds into the movie.
And you told her, get out of here. Get the heck out of here. Take a cab.
Because he gets shot at the beginning of the movie, and then you see him in another scene, and you think, oh, okay. It just says 6 months later, and he's walking around. You don't know he's dead. Unless you see dead people.
Yeah.
Well, it's easy in the movie to convey the passage of time in that movie too, which kind of gives that illusion: is this real or isn't real? Like what that guy, what's his name? What was his name in the movie?
Bruce Willis.
Yeah, Bruce's character. But
Bruce.
because they didn't show all the things that he was doing or interacting with. It kind of like it cut into some scenes there where he's just talking with the boy, where he's sitting there having a coffee or something with the boy's mom or something like that.
You never see him talk to anybody.
Yeah,
but your brain just assumes.
So it's easy to trick the brain, to trick the observer's brain to think.
Could those kind of twists work in RPG? Can you do like
yes,
you're dead, but like the PC is dead, but you don't know, like, and at some point it's gonna be revealed to you, right?
Yep.
You're a ghost.
Yep. I mean, it's fun to do if the players don't know it's coming.
Yeah.
Could that work with a party or just on a one-on-one game?
Like, we're only one member of the party's dead and he's just following around the rest of the party. I don't think that's working.
No, I mean, I'm saying like one player, one GM. One player, one GM.
Yeah.
Or if you have multiple player, they're all dead, but they don't know, so they can see each other, interact with each other, but not with the world around them.
I played in a game where we were all like in a different body than the one that we thought we were in. It's like it was a vampire game, basically. I think I've explained this before.
Yeah, I remember that.
Where like we all got eaten, and we had taken over the body of the guys that ate us, and so we were just walking around and going like, "Why does everyone think we're dead?" Anyways, it was a twist at the end. Kept us all in suspense to the very end.
Very topical.
The World of Darkness has stuff like that, but the players sort of know that that's the trick before they start the game, because they're making a character that's going to be already dead.
Yeah.
Or they do a session 0 where they die, and then the next session.
It was like 2 layers of dead, though.
Yeah.
We thought we were just 1 layer of dead, but we were actually 2 layers dead.
I thought we were only 1 layer of dead.
What a twist!
Yeah,
we were dead again.
Yeah. Could have called it like the 36th sense.
So let's say there's a group of 4 players. Let's say there's a group of 4 players going down some chasm, whatever, some hallway, some catacomb, and up ahead is magic. Only one player can see the magic. How would the player have to know they see magic, or it's some sort of a passive power that they have that comes and goes? Like, how would you explain that they see a monster, but none of the other players see it without saying you?
Just say their name.
Yeah,
that's
the only way you'd be
usually
able
what
to
I
do
do.
it.
How would you say it, though?
I'm just gonna say the name of the character and then like say whatever they see, right? What I describe what's happening in front of them as they see it.
Now, is the
And
perception
that's kind of like
of
involved in the social contract. And if I say a character name before description, that's your perception. That's your point of view, right? Where in your
You can't say you, though.
you cannot see you. You just say like, Rick, there's a door that is bleeding, or
Oh my
there's a door
god!
that's laughing at
Get a
you.
doctor!
Wherever he's looking, there's a bloody head floating.
get
in
a
the
door
sky.
doctor?
Yeah.
Rick,
There's a
this
one-
bloody
one-armed
head that has been
bandit.
following you.
There's a
still
one-armed
there
bandit
laughing.
staring at him.
Yeah, I'd be running away like you wouldn't believe. Screaming.
So, is the magic that you see, does it look different than normal stuff? Outside of the fact that it's fantastical looking and all that stuff, like, is there like
That
a
depends on the
weird
setting.
halo of magical energy that would
I guess that's the
indicate that it
magic
is magic sight?
Yeah, I think that depends on the setting, and that's also
Yeah.
depend on the. It's also going to be dependent on the character. If the character is a
Yeah.
magic user that's familiar on the magic, you can be a little more like direct with what they see, right? Just like
hmm
Or what if it's a
maybe
knowledge
they
thing?
can recognize, right?
What if it's a knowledge thing?
Yes.
Like writing on the walls that only one player can read.
yes.
How would you describe
Oh.
that?
That's interesting. Without saying you see.
You have to know what your character. So, is it like because it's in another language?
Could be.
So, if it is, then you say it's written in X language.
Aramaic.
Everything's written in Aramaic.
And then when the player say, I can read Aramaic.
Yeah.
Or you say there's some writing and there's some cryptic writing in an ancient language.
Mhm.
And then one character that can know a lot of language say, I approach and try to decipher the language.
Mhm.
And then you know what the language is in, and you say it's Aramaic.
The trick is if there's
You
some
roll
sort of
decipher it.
some
That's
sort
good.
of freaky writing that is only legible to like a royal bloodline,
Like
there's some
his
spell.
ancestral
And it's
writings
like-
or something.
Otherwise, it looks like gibberish to anyone. That's like
Yeah.
you'd have to say.
Because normally,
Rick,
you know
You see
know how
writing
this.
that says.
You can't say
except
you
you
though.
can't say you see. Rick, there's writing that says.
Yeah.
There's writing on the
'Cause-
wall.
Yeah.
Rick, you can read it. It says. There you go.
There's always that you in there. It's
Because the
inevitable.
GMs always do this.
Oh yeah, you can.
It's
Yeah,
okay
you-
to say
Rick, your character sees this and knows this as such and such language, and you're able to read it just fine. That's how most GMs describe those things.
Mhm.
Yeah. What would be like a more elegant way to say it?
Okay, Max, the first way you described it, you just said it's such and such language.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But if there's only if it's magic language, right? That only one character can read in the party.
Yeah, and they don't know
Again,
why
it's-
they can read it. Like
Yeah.
it's just a mystery.
Like instead there's gibberish on the wall
Rick has the gift.
that make
Mhm.
no sense except for Rick.
Yeah.
I
He
wrote
see it.
Because
I
Rick wrote
see
it. He wrote it down in
Yeah.
the future, and he remembers it now.
Yeah.
He's in
Because
the
Rick's
past.
character is a pharmacist, and it's like
Mhm.
doctor script. So he got the gift of reading.
Dr. Lou.
Yeah.
Pardon me, madam. I speak
Oh,
jive.
I know this gibberish.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Or opening up a chest, and only one player sees the magic item in the chest, and other
Yeah.
people see other stuff, or each person sees something different? How do you explain to all of the player characters what they see when they look into the mirror? Stuff like that.
About the lying stuff, like we're a bit behind, and I want to reply to also the message. Like Nicola was saying, they might not know they lied about something. Untrained people don't see the body language. For them, it's not there. Only one attentive one can, and that's true. And that's also something that I think as GM we have to include. Like if we want to, we have to include like some body language when you describe, like in our anchoring, right? Oh, he's like looking around and say like, oh, you know what, putting on his ear. Yeah, he came around here like 2 days ago, right? And then if your character, the player, if you have good player, they can role play that my character is gonna pick up on that, or my character is not gonna pick up on that, right? If you don't play with power gamer, you can include those hint of body language and stuff like that, and that's a good thing to know as a GM, right? Have some cue that you can drop in. What do you think?
Yeah, the players can choose to use the cues.
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone's tell is the same. Like that's kind of part of the whole.
Not that's kind of part of the
Read.
whole, but like you give some tell to your character, to your NPCs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they
What if-
might be tell, they might not be tell. Like
What if
the character still don't know if the guy lied or not. He can believe the guy lied, or he can believe the guy told the truth. You can believe that that was a tale of him lying, or just say, oh, he's just nervous, whatever, right? Just like, and that's the part of the player to decide. You don't have to tell them if he's lying or not.
Or add another
never
layer
sure.
to that. Add another layer to that. The GM says to the player in secret, you know it's a lie. And you can choose to keep that to yourself or tell everyone else that this person's lying.
You would give them like this certainty? I wouldn't. Unless like there's magical stuff, like you can detect like Crispy's character, he had like this magical earring that can tell him if something was a lie or not,
He just
right?
has he has a piccolo in his pocket and it says he's lying.
Yeah.
He's
lying. If you do that, but then
Shut up,
like
Piccolo.
you can say, like with the magical earring, you could just say like
Piccolo Jones.
Your earring is vibrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put it on my nipple.
Feel the thrill.
That's how it works.
So how do you do like the players are in a cold ass freezing cave? Do you say you guys all freeze when you walk into the cave? How do you say that they're freezing without saying you?
Without saying you,
it's
like
it's a
when I
cold
say we
ass
are without saying you,
freezing
for me
cave.
it's always like without saying you as the subject of the sentence, right? Because you can say
Yeah,
like
the subject
the
is the
object of the
cave.
sentence, the different thing, right? You can say like there's the condensation is freezing on your beard. The character has a beard. Right?
You could do that.
Yeah.
Something happens to them. Ice on their clothes.
I don't know, but
what like your finger gets stiff from the cold. Would that be like saying you because it's your finger? It's not like the character per se, but it's still part of the character. Would that be like doing second person?
You could say the room's cold enough to freeze humans solid in 5 seconds, and then the players roleplay freezing solid in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And one guy doesn't, and they're just like, just walking through the cave.
Rick knows something about cold.
Yes,
The guy who does the
eyelids
polar
stick together as you blink.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But,
you can see your breath when you expire, when you or you can this you can see, but yeah, a breath of condensation form every time you expire. I don't know. There's some stuff you could do. The air burn your nostril when you breathe in.
Oh, you can say your breath. You can say your breath comes out like steam or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not telling what they're doing.
No,
you're just talking about their breath.
Yeah, something you cannot control.
Hey, wait a minute! I want to narrate how my breath comes out.
I wouldn't give them frostbite unless you're dealing damage. You know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say your finger froze off.
But that's an interesting thing because like even like Rick said, your eyelids stick together, right? Again, body part, something you don't really control. You're gonna blink and stuff like that. But you're kind of controlling a part of the body of the character. I guess that'd
Yeah.
be fair game, right? Like same thing with saying like your finger are getting stiff from the cold, right? And
Okay, what if the GM says something about narrating a scene? One of the players becomes possessed, and the player starts talking in the voice of this other character, this creature. How would you do that?
wait, we'll come back to that, like that, because that's a big one. That's a big one. Charm, possession, stuff like that. That's a big one. But now we're
Possession,
still
yeah,
on the.
that's what it is.
I still want to go through chat before we
I
go
still
into
don't
that
want
game.
to. I still don't want to tell someone that their eyes are sticking together.
Yeah.
I just want them to say it.
What about their eyelids, though? That's not part
No,
of
their
body.
eyelids are part of it. Their eyelids are part.
They're part of the body.
Our skin's been ripped
Because
off.
that's a good inquiry.
Good
Yeah,
point.
it's there. It's on the table. You know,
It's my skin now.
Can you just say like the
Whose skin is
just-
this?
Tell them it's fucking cold, and then
Yeah, you can
hopefully
just tell them like it's freezing.
Yeah. Please
Just as
do
the
something.
temperature,
Please be a good
temperature
player.
drops. It's extreme cold.
Pretty please be a good player and
Unnaturally
describe how
cold.
you're cold now.
The players can
So-
decide to be freezing or not, or they can be that guy from Canada who just walks around naked
Yeah.
through the whole
Yeah,
place.
and t-shirt.
They grab the snow and rub it on them. Ah,
Yeah.
finally.
Flip flops.
That guy.
Yeah, Aaron was saying I think you have to pick the binary option of treating insanity like a resource management board game versus a deeply immersive horror story. I think we are all going to be on the same side on that here.
Arun,
gonna dig later.
is your name a reference to werewolf? Because I've
Arun?
always thought that.
It's not spelled the same.
Yeah, but it sounds like it, and it's a cool way to
Yeah.
spell it. Anyways,
Yeah.
I missed what he said. Sorry.
Yeah,
I've
and
been
that's
wanting to
very
ask Arun
true.
that for a while.
Sanity in a pulpy Lovecraft game isn't really about fear anymore, just like a HP bar. That's true, and I think that's very regrettable.
Oh yeah, get it. Replace it with a better system.
Yeah, like a
Don't use HP.
like a damage meter that like has consequences at every
you're-
level,
you're-
similar to World of Darkness.
Your sanity is just another attribute, and it's like eyesight. It comes and goes.
Trust player to take and run with it. I'll read this one. Arun, and probably trust your players to take and run with it, which goes for everything when it comes to 4D. Maybe the player can add more stuff into it and make you wonder what's real and not.
Yeah, I think that'd be like the path I would prefer.
I keep everything a mystery, so at the end the players can ask me, "So were we really crazy? What about that one part?" I'll explain stuff after.
I don't
Because
know.
I think that's the thing, life is full of uncertainty, right? We don't know
It's-
what's happening around us. Like we guess all the time. Like we think we know, but do we really know? Right? Am I really here? Do I really exist?
Because
we all figments of our imagination?
It's
Yeah.
not that fun if the players know how exact insane their characters are getting.
Yeah, exactly.
There's got to be some sort of mystery still, or
Yeah.
uncertainty.
Ooh, yeah. I like what I would say. I don't know if he's saying what I think he's saying, but I like the idea of using the goals to mess with them with insanity. It's
Is
smart.
that the one on the screen now, or you're like reading
Yeah.
ahead?
No, I'm reading what's on the screen.
But I think if you want immersive games, you can leverage personal motive to lure the player deeper into the illusion, give them a carrot. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Link the insanity to the character's motive. Yeah. And personality.
Smart. Definitely do that.
Yeah. Yeah, like you say, seeing their the dead kid alive and chasing it, that kind of thing, wanting it so much, that's very interesting. Having the character like a background, stuff like that, they become like resource you can pull on.
Well, how often have you been in a game where the characters kill the bad guy, but they didn't really kill the bad guy? It's just an illusion. The bad guy got away.
That's so tacky.
I know. But what about the reverse? What about the reverse of that, though?
The bad guy
The bad
thinks
guy
he
killed
killed
the
you.
character.
I guess the reverse would be
Where you come back with the eye patch and a mustache.
you did
kill the bad guy,
but you
but
think
you keep
he's
seeing
still,
him around. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
in your
yeah.
head or something.
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about like Dice still. Dan, you're a big like Call of Duty guy. You want to jump in?
I might
Yeah.
be running a game for Dice Tales.
Oh, really? Of Call of Cthulhu?
Ooh,
Yeah.
them strong words.
I've never played Call of Cthulhu,
Might.
but I'll run it.
Yeah.
Is it
I mean,
hard?
that's the way to go. Your ball's easy, Phil. We can give you that.
Is Call of Cthulhu hard? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Is it easy?
It's easier than Wendy's RPG, Feast of
Oh, good.
Champions or Legends or whatever.
Legends.
We won't go there.
I'll
I
jump in.
can't
Give me a
believe you
sec.
guys.
You got the link?
You guys got immersed in that. That's crazy.
We did our best.
You guys
Yeah.
are good, man. If you haven't rewatched it, it's not terrible. It's pretty good.
With the Wendy's thing?
Yep.
We should have tweakered
Yeah.
it yesterday.
You should have done.
Oh,
it
we
for
could have
the
done that
restaurant,
since
though.
Crispy was busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no restaurant
Oops.
around where I live.
One of my favorite, if movies with insanity, what's going on, where am I, sort of thing, is the original Tim Robbins, Jacob's Ladder.
I was going to say that one.
Never
Because
saw.
in
Well,
that
Rick-
one, do you want the spoiler? You want the
Nope.
spoiler?
Oh wait, Jacob's Ladder? Is that the one with the Fisher King? No, I'm thinking of the Fishing King. Never
I
mind.
thought Jacob's Ladder was. Oh, I'm thinking something else. Never mind.
Well,
Well-
Craven, I think.
You can spoil it. I'm never gonna watch it. I
Okay.
don't watch
Well,
movies.
the
I might watch
spoiler
it
is.
again.
Spoiler is,
I don't
and if
wanna
you
s-
want to, you can go la 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 while I say it.
All right, hold on.
Yeah, he's dying, is
Yeah.
essentially the entire movie. So when you're watching the movie, he's going through is his tour in Vietnam, the incident that occurs, chaos breaks out, everybody's stoned on something, and they go through. He gets shot and everything, and then it breaks suddenly to the future, where I believe it's where his child has died, and him and his wife are dealing with it, and they're going through such a rough patch about it, and and he's an ex-veteran and all this stuff, and he's trying to figure things out, and then suddenly he wakes up he goes to sleep and wakes up. Suddenly he's with a girlfriend that's not his wife, and they're together, and he goes out to a nightclub and everything, and suddenly there's bats and things going on in the nightclub, and it's really weird and trippy, and so he's bouncing between two different worlds, without his son, and and with his son, and that sort of thing. And yeah, it's a bizarre kind of, the whole entire movie's like that. So how would you portray in an RPG, something in that kind of a context, where you want to keep that mystery for the player, what's really going on? It's part of the feel of that game. Where Call
Would
of
you do it just
Cthulhu.
in narrator mode? You just describe what's happening,
You
what
would
the
have to,
see,
yeah.
And then for them, but it'd be yes, I think it'll become very burdensome at some point, because you have to go so much back and forth, right? Or you wake up and
It would be hard to have multiple players unless you have multiple players, like a couple of
NPCs.
You'd have to maybe do it as a solo kind of thing, because
that's an interesting thing, because insanity is a very solitary thing, right?
yeah.
When you're losing your mind, it cut you off from others. So when you're in an RPG,
it's fun to play those kind of games when the players don't know what your theme is, what your moods are. You just start up a random game like that. But if the players know going in, oh, we're going to be doing a Call of Cthulhu thing, we're all going to go crazy.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
I can't wait. And then the players giggle and laugh when they start losing sanity points.
yeah.
Use 4D players.
Well, you
For
know
the
what? I'll
win.
put the link in the
Yeah.
chat for Dan,
Or 4D interested.
or somebody else. can
4D
join, right?
curious.
As long as you don't show your fuck.
4D adjacent.
40 curious.
Yeah.
Elle's
I put the
going
link in
around
the
talking
chat.
about 5D.
Dice, if you want to join up, I tagged you on
What's
Discord, but
5D?
I just put the link on the chat here, and somebody else want to join as well. Like, but I have to know you.
Hey there.
Hey,
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Hello, Dan. How are you doing?
Cool.
It's been a
I'm
while.
doing great. Yeah, it has been a while.
Yeah. Good to see you, man.
Here,
Look
turn
at
down your
Sharp.
microphone. You're blasting us.
Sorry.
Is he?
Is he?
The game.
Hold on. Is that lower?
That's
yeah,
better.
it's good. No.
Oh wow.
Okay.
That's better.
There we go.
I'm such a noob at this stuff, man.
Shauna was right.
Once again.
I used to have one of those.
So
So
yeah,
what are you doing, Dice Tails?
it's a great
Yeah.
topic.
He always looks like he has like 9 Dell monitors in front of him or something with satellite views.
I just got a bunch of junk piled on my desk.
Cyberspace.
Nothing's organized.
Oh, okay.
Just random pieces of wood.
Your
Yeah,
camera's
that's part of the stand-up desk
way
I'm
up
supposed
high,
to put
so-
together.
Oh yeah.
Stand-up desk.
That's what I gotta
So,
stand
yeah.
up. That's I never stand up.
or his monitor's up high. Something's high.
Yeah, my
And then,
monitor.
then you got the fisheye lens going on, so
Yeah.
security
Thank you.
camera.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dice, Dice, Dan, I'm glad for you to join because you're a big Call of Duty guy, right? And just like
Oh yeah, huge. Yeah, and just what you're talking about is one of the real challenges of 4D. You
Yeah.
know, the classic thing, like you were discussing, and it was in the chat, where you have 3 guys in the room and one of them sees something absolutely horrifying and the others are oblivious. And communicating that is tough.
Yeah.
Without, taking people out of immersion.
Yeah.
And I just don't see a way of, I don't see a good way of doing it other than just describing it. I think what you said earlier is mentioning the person by name.
One trick I think you could do is you describe the actuality first, and then you go to the player that's going crazy,
Yep.
and you tell him what
That's a
he
good idea.
sees. That might work. That might work.
Yeah, you have to do a contrast.
But also, I think if you wanna, I think what would be
Yeah.
efficient is like in those kind of game, you want to isolate your player a lot, right? If and you can get like those insane things that they see when the character is alone, and I think that's can be very efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wouldn't it be?
that works.
Yeah. if all
Anytime they're the
together-
only one looking at it or hearing, the only one that could possibly look or hear at a specific thing that we were talking about with the view screen, that's the perfect time to make them go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like the idea that Rick said, though. You say the mundane thing first and then tell that
Yeah.
supernatural crazy shit that happens. And then the GM just stops talking. And then you do your turns. And everyone's like, oh, shit. There's some crazy shit's going on. I don't know. I think
Yeah, I
that's
like
more
that.
dramatic is the way to describe it.
But yeah, I like what you're saying as well. Because even if the character is with the group,
Mhm.
every time you go look at something, right? Oh, I pick
Yeah.
up this book and I flip to the page. Then there's something there. Try to show somebody else. No, it's just a book.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to take
Mhm.
advantage of those
Like later.
opportunities.
Behind Dan, there's this brown board-looking thing leaned
That's a
up.
stand-up desk.
It's a
Yeah,
Stand-up
it's the surface. Yeah, it's a stand-up desk. I got to finish assembling.
Okay.
Looks good.
You sure it's not some sort of antique, belongs in a museum piece of board with pirate map on
He
the
builds-
side of
He
it?
builds coffins as a hobby.
That may be what you're seeing, Shauner. But the rest of us see a stand-up desk.
Okay, see? Dang it. I'm making a roll here.
Yep, I'm crazy.
I rolled a
win.
7.
You win.
Shauner, you now know where Captain Kidd's treasure is buried.
Oh.
Nicholas says, you do what Rick said. Very nice indeed, by the way. And you're aware of insanity due to social contract. Yeah. During the player round, they can add and deliberate. Yeah. But you, as a GM, chose what's real.
Yeah, that's really interesting. When a crazy player starts 4Ding shit, you can just like take it out of the scene. Like, that'd be so
I think
cool.
Yeah, you could run with it.
the mechanism for insanity in Call of Cthulhu, I think, would adapt real well to this mode of play. as you lose sanity, you leave it up to the role player to describe how that plays out. And one of the fun things about it is you can lose a little bit at a time or a whole chunk at once. And if you're playing it kind of rules as written, the way they have it now in 7th edition, I think they talk about this, is they take agency away from the player, and the GM role plays the insanity, which I think is a loser idea. But
your player just runs off into the wild, never to be seen again.
They're gonna go get some pizza while you're running their character.
And I think role playing that part of the insanity can be so much fun, because you got a whole range there. You know, you can just decide, being your character, you know, maybe he's the kind of guy or she's the kind of person who would just run off screaming, in which case you run off screaming. Or, you know, you might have the hard-bitten veteran of World War I who's seen this before. And yeah, it's crazy. And yeah, he's experiencing it, but it's like, crazy is not necessarily anything new to him after spending, you know, 6 to 9 months in the Western Front trenches.
Yeah. He just ducks behind a table.
So. Yeah. And role playing that would be like such a great challenge, because you want to communicate the insanity to the group, but his response would be conditioned by experience and would be a rational, possibly very muted response, even though it's not appropriate to that particular situation.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Well, what if the player's character is seeing his old buddies who died in the trenches?
Exactly.
And he doesn't want to say this to his other player friends, that he's seeing these images.
Because he wants to hide his insanity.
I guess he doesn't want to go back to the insane asylum.
I think the player character is going to be the best at playing their character. That's kind of how I think. So, like, the player of the character knows all the background, all of the motivations, all those like traumas that they've gone through. So they're going to know how the insanity is going to affect them better than the GM will, in my opinion. Yeah. So they should be the ones that, they're going to curl up in a ball and cry for their mama, you know, or whatever. Sorry, Rick.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be awesome. You know, you're going through the museum late at night with your friends, and you see, you know, the one guy sees something that nobody else sees, and he loses, you know, 3 or 4 points of sanity, and he turns to the person next to him and says, "Where's the spare ammo? We're going to need it."
The cool thing about the 4D idea, and that kind of just in my head, was if the player is describing his insanity and all the little things, you as the game master can decide maybe one of those things is actually real, but the player doesn't know which one is the real thing and his insanity, you know, that sort of thing. That could really play along really well with the player, as well as he therefore doesn't know which is actually real, what he's interacting with. You know, for example, the book, the script that's on there, he could be imagining that he's seeing the cryptic script in the book, you know, undulating like worms and stuff like that. But in reality, there is no book. You know, that's, you know, something like that. Or
when do you say that though? Like, how do you say that if the book is fake?
Yeah. What do you tell the other guys?
Yeah, he discovers that later, but the rest of the guys are seeing, you know, you describe they see Joe with hands out forwards before him, like so, you know, and reading weird, like making weird mouth undulation, some form of ancient language that they do not understand, you know.
But I think like for me, like the interesting part with all this insanity and stuff like that, like I want to keep it like uncertain as long as I can, right? I want to, like you want to keep the mystery, like, so you don't want to sell the sauce. What's the fucking expression? You don't want to reveal you don't want to reveal like the secret too soon, right? So like you try to delay, right? And it's like if the character tries to end the book to somebody else, like the player is just gonna say like, I lend the I give the book to I offer the book to this guy, and then you can
Read
just
it.
say like,
It's here.
there's
Look.
no book. Say, and then you say, Dan, there's no book in Rixen.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But
I think apropos of that, there is going to have to be some degree where there is a little bit of out of character conversation, and you can keep it brief, and it can actually have great dramatic effect. Like you say, you have the guy flipping through the book, and I'm reading this book, and it's horrible. I have this horrified look on my face as I'm paging through the book, and then the other characters really need to be, if they're in the moment, it's like, oh, I see he's got a horrified look on his face, but I'm wondering what's going on.
Yeah, they would just see him with his hands forwards, like as if he was holding a book. But they'd be like looking at his hands, going, "Where do you see this script, Joe? Where are you seeing this?" They could play off that kind of idea.
And Nicolas said like 40 is actually perfect for this, because if your GM keep going with bits of what the crazy one says, but not everything, then will spiral or Q.
Real quick.
Oh,
Real
okay.
quick.
And by the end, you have a very nice cock experience. But hello, encore. But yeah, and also you can have like this this spiraling and this like insanity contagion, especially in the setting like Call of Cthulhu and stuff like that, right? Like one character becoming insane slowly, and then it goes it permeates to other as well, right? Just like that can be interesting as well, right? And at some point, like they become like this uncertainty, like the crazy character like it's talking about like crazy shit they see, and then like you make it clear that no, it's not there, but then like at some point, like, well, you see it too now. Oh, okay, now what's happening, right? Am I going insane as well, or was he the same one all along? That's an interesting question. If you can get your character to ask yourself that, you're getting a fucking nice experience with this insanity stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
How does the GM? Go ahead, Dan.
I was gonna say, you could have, for instance, in a COC game, you could have a relic that instantiates insanity, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the guy who goes crazy, he sees something that isn't there or what have you. And then as he's screaming about it, or don't you see the tentacles? Don't you see it? All of a sudden, now you do see it. Or one more person sees it. Yes, there it is. He's right. Oh my God.
Nicolas asking the real question. So cock with or without skin? I'm Catholic, so it's with.
So it's circumcision of Cthulhu.
Yes.
So how should the GM tell the player that his character is going insane?
Sorry?
How should the GM tell the player how much their character is going insane? Because like the player will make the player makes a roll, they fail their roll, and the GM says, "Okay, lose this much sanity."
And that's interesting with what Dan was saying as well, like with this, because it's playing Call of Cthulhu with the sanity point and stuff like that. How do we make it not just a health bar? How do we want to keep like this kind of like, well, maybe you are, maybe you aren't.
Well, I think you got to look at it the other way around. It's not so much that this I think ceases to be a problem because you're doing 4D. It's like, okay, this is a guidance for the player to let them know, okay, just how crazy am I and how far do I take this? How is this affecting my character? What is really going on? And you're acting that out. And I think the mechanism as it stands, where you have the the bout of insanity, which lasts very briefly, and then in the 7th edition rules, then you have the indefinite insanity, which lasts until treated, and then of course you have the permanent insanity, where you're just bat bleep crazy and you're not of any use anymore. You're basically dysfunctional. And it's sort of the degrees as you creep toward indefinite insanity, and if you acquire during the game an indefinite insanity. The hard part there, I think, it's going to take some creativity for the GM to communicate to you. I mean, you make the roll, okay, yes, you fail, you're definitely insane, but okay, that's the game thing out of the way. Now we have to narratively set the frame for the player, and that will be, I think that's just going to take practice. You know, you come up with dendrophobia.
I would let the player
fear trees.
Just like when the players describe their damage from wounds, they can describe their mental health, I guess.
I would go with that
act
as well.
it out ongoing. Yeah.
Yeah. I would, in a game of Call of Cthulhu, I would say, like, you know, like, you can manage your own sanity point if you want. Like, if you have like player you trust and stuff like that, and they have like system mastery, which I think is important for that. It's important for 40 style, I think, like, because we don't want to have the mechanics intervene, right, and get in the way of the game. So if they have like system mastery, and they could just like can say like, you describe what's happening, and they can decide, you know what, that would make me lose some fucking sanity point. Maybe they can make their own roll if they want, like make their sanity roll. Don't have to tell anybody, right? Just like you see something horrific, you know that would be trigger a roll. Roll it.
Have you seen that movie from the 60s called Planet of the Apes? Charlton Heston.
Yep.
He's running around in a the History of Man museum, and he sees his buddy Dodge all taxidermied up. Does he have to do a sanity roll at that moment when he sees his buddy stuffed like an animal?
I would let the player decide.
I would say, yeah, to me, that's a classic moment of it. Absolutely. You know, again, yeah, those are the things. And it's a little hard to judge what would cause who to actually become less stable. And that's what it kind of represents, I think.
I'm guessing the rules would say how often you ask for a sanity roll in the game.
They give guidance to it. You know, if you're playing a pre-published scenario, of course, it will tell you at different stages when you do. But if you run it enough, you get a sense for when that should take place. And there, you know, seeing a dead body for the first time for someone who's not accustomed to it might cause a sanity check with a small sanity loss if they fail. For someone who's never experienced that, if you work in the coroner's office, obviously it's like, okay, you know, it's fine, whatever.
Crematorium.
Yeah. My favorite example, and I just got to throw this in, is from the original game. It's like, you see someone walking down the street, you know, is dead. That is one of my favorite moments. That calls for a sanity check.
But those, exactly. Those are kind of obvious. But like, it would at some point also, I think like the player knows how his character will react best. Hopefully, right? So I would be completely okay with the right group of player. Those people around here, I would be okay to tell them like, you know what, I'll let you manage your sanity.
That's vetting.
You know how the role work.
Yeah,
that's vetting.
Yeah, that's part of vetting the player. Yes.
I think that'd definitely be worth trying. Absolutely, with the right player group.
So the issue I have with the example you guys gave, where you're holding off on telling them that the book's fake to the other players, is that the other players are going to get a turn. If Rick's looking at a book, it's not real. They have to know that it's not real.
You okay there, buddy?
They have to immediately know that because it's not real.
Well,
the words are whispering to me.
Unless you kind of make their reaction part of Rick's insanity and then kind of time violate it, then you could be like, guys, there's no book. And then
during their turns, they can whisper to each other, we need to do something with Rick.
We need to do something.
It depends on the scene as well, right? You're just like,
well, if someone's gonna say, "What's in the book, Rick?"
What if the other players are in on Rick's insanity? They all know that that he's the guy that's going to go crazy because the GM agreed to this at the beginning of the game. So
Like the players.
yeah, the players all know that Rick's going to go crazy, but Rick doesn't.
Yeah.
Rick thinks that they're all going crazy, but no, it's just going to be him that goes crazy.
Well, they should still know he's doing crazy stuff.
I wouldn't be a fan of that because it's too much planning for my taste.
Yeah, they know he's.
I like
No, it's
play by
just
ear more.
it's just an email or a post-it note or something.
No, but I like to keep like the thing going more fluid. But with the
How
book,
could you?
okay,
I don't
let's
understand how you
go with
do
the book
that.
example. If the character are doing other stuff, right?
Mhm.
Rick
Always
is just
add a
like
layer.
goes along, you pick up a book and you read it, and like you going to look through the window, and somebody else is go to check if the door is locked, because we always need to check the door, right?
You're always checking it.
RPG is all about opening door.
There's a movie called
That's
The
right.
Door.
Otherwise, how do you get out of the tavern?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, you discuss for half an hour about like how to open the door, and then you move to the
The
next
chimney.
room to get to the next door.
You open the door, and there's another door. No.
Ultimate mega dungeon.
Get my tools. Sorry.
There's like,
I like the suggestion in chat. You gaslight Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
So
gaslight
obviously, if no one
But
is
what I'm
actively
saying
looking
is-
at Rick, then
Yeah,
it's
exactly, like,
fine. That
you can let
we're
it
doing
going.
we're doing the individual crazy stuff. That's great.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
if Rick's like, guys, I just picked up this book. Look
Yeah.
at this. Then the other
But-
players have to know it's not real.
But
Okay, what if the other
okay.
characters?
If we say if we say like there's no book altogether, that's a bit hardcore.
Hmm.
But you could say like maybe there is a book, it's just not the book that Rick is seeing, right? Saying, look at this book, and then the other character approach, and you can just say like, it's the Little Prince.
Yeah.
What if the other
Well,
characters don't
that-
say
that
anything
worked.
about what Rick's doing? They just act like it's normal what's Rick doing.
Yeah.
Then Rick the player would probably be confused because he knows he's going crazy, but no one else seems to notice he's crazy. Like Stepford wives, Stepford husbands.
So he knows he's going crazy because he made some sanity roll or something? Like, why does he know he's going crazy?
Oh, okay. I
Well-
don't know. We'd have to role play what happened before you open the book.
There can be a level of this. Like I can give you an example out of real life. Going to the Mojave Desert, middle of summer, one day I pull off the road at a random exit just to get out of the car and stretch my legs. And I get out and I'm looking at the horizon.
And there's Rick. That's all.
Almost.
It's a
And
gore.
okay, it was like a scene out of a horror movie. I've got a video of it somewhere. I'll see if I can find it and post
Oh,
it.
cool.
But you hear the wind blowing and there's a metal sign rattling intermittently.
Yeah,
And you're looking off at the
I
horizon
know the place.
and there's a line of telephone poles on the horizon.
Yep.
And it's not with the heat shimmering effect. They're just appearing and disappearing randomly.
Ooh.
It's like, and you literally felt like you were at the boundary of time and space, standing there in the heat and staring at that.
Mm-hmm.
And I
That's
saw
interesting.
that, and the person with me was like, "What? What are you talking about? I don't see that at all."
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
and it was, and it's like,
Was
you
that
know,
on-
you-
was
you
that on
learn.
the-
And so, at that point, it's like putting this in game terms. I know I'm losing sanity in effect.
Yeah.
I know I'm having a clearly insane experience.
What if we're all just a
And-
part of Dan's dream right now? Wow.
Did you hear the
guys are
story about
screwed.
like some people say that when the first European came to America, right, to South America, and there was native there that saw the ship come in, and they would tell some of them would see them, and they would try to tell other people that, like, look at that, and some people like wouldn't see them, but they say like they would block him from their mind because it was like such something nonsensical, those big wooden structure like moving on the sea for them.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, but
like the brain would blank them out, right?
Yeah, you don't comprehend it, so your mind fills in with something it
Yep.
does. And this goes back to what you were talking about. I think, Rick, you mentioned this. It's
So,
like, okay,
so I'm
you-
not crazy. You guys are crazy because you can't see that book.
Yeah, exactly.
Twist.
but at some point, like if you're the guy with the book and everybody's telling you there's no book, there's going to be one point in your descent into madness where you're going to say, I'm experiencing something really wrong here, and I know it's really wrong. And you might not know how to resolve that, but you know that that's happening. At a much further point, you're just going to be like, these people are idiots. There's clearly a book here. And role playing that, again, this is a great 4D opportunity because it's a spectrum, and you can
be
leave
like
it
so
to a player.
You
And
always
later
like
they're
you're
out to
always
get
like
you.
trying to hide on the side to go back looking at the book, and you don't want the other player to see you because they're gonna think you're crazy. That's fucking cool, right?
Yeah,
that's
but
like the role play there.
none of that solves the problem that Phil has brought up, and he's right. It's a legitimate problem.
Nobody's gonna solve like
Going
those
back to
problems.
square one, Rick thinks he sees a book. Everyone else is looking at Rick, and there's no book. How do you communicate that? And the only thing I can think of is you just, you have to say,
Unreliable
you don't see the
narration.
book. Yeah, you don't see the
Yeah.
book.
Well, maybe you could say like if you really want to say like there's no book at all, after like Rick has done his turn, before you go to somebody else, you can just say like Rick is staring at his palm.
Yeah.
At the end
I
of the
agree.
session, you find out who was really crazy.
Yeah.
Right. But
And if
again,
Maybe
if
not.
you
Way of
have
finding out.
Yeah, that's what I like. I like the uncertainty kind of thing,
Yeah.
like Shauner's bringing up. That's a cool thing.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
you'll have to dismiss a lot of the mechanic parts of the game and rely on basically the levels of how the sanity is on each character.
Yeah, I think the
And keep
mechanics
in
can often
mind-
like bring a little
So-
too much certainty, right? And a little more like it's too definitive, and you don't want that, right?
All right, we're playing Total
Well,
Party
I-
Space again.
I can tell you, Rick is saying, "Hey, look at this book," and as the game master, I can say, "Rick's not holding a book. There's no book there."
Mhm.
I could be lying to you, or I could be lying to Rick.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can
Especially
preserve
when you
the
describe
How
insanity.
would, okay,
There's
how would you,
when you describe it, there's a voice in your head that says, "What book?"
but Dan, how would you describe that he doesn't have a book without saying out of character?
That's what I don't think you can. And I think if you, to your point about making the game cinematic, I don't think it robs a great deal if you say, Rick says, "Hey, look at the book," and Max says, "I turned to look at Rick's book," and the narrator just says, "There's no book." You give them the Joe Biden whisper,
Yeah.
and then you shut up, and then you shut up, and you wait
Just
for
have-
Max to do what he's going to
Oh,
do.
I guess
Okay,
no, that's
just have the
like
president.
just saying like there's saying that like there's no book right there, right? That's he didn't take control any from anybody, right?
Just
He
have the
didn't role
president.
play anybody's character. I didn't say you. He didn't say, right? Just like
Just have the president in a straitjacket standing in the corner, muttering to himself, "There is no book."
Okay, you could do that. Would be a pretty
There's
cool.
no book
too.
here, but do
Just-
you guys see
just
the
add-
president over there?
Just
Yeah, that'd
add
be
some
interesting.
doubt.
That'd be
Just add some
interesting.
doubt.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Joe Biden is standing next to you in the straight
So I
jacket.
would use an
telling you,
NPC or
"There's no
something."
book.
I would use an NPC or a camera monitor. Someone's looking on the monitor. They don't see the book in Rick's hand. Maybe Rick looks
could you
at the
could you drag
monitor.
along an NPC that only one character see without
Yeah,
like
you do that.
Well, you could do that, but
Yeah,
the thing about
yeah.
if you're gonna play Cthulhu at some point, the game master, to make it work, is going to be the voice in your head. Now, whether you choose in character to believe it or to resist it, that's the role play piece.
You know the thing.
But I don't think,
It's cabin fever.
the
so
example
it just
example
goes
that I
into
always go
cabin
back.
fever stuff.
Yeah, it's like, it looks
one
like
shot.
Rick, but is it Rick? You've got a gun. Use it.
I don't know.
like
That's
we
kind of
talk about
going into the realm I don't.
Okay,
I don't
you
wanna
could
go
say
That's
you could,
that's when I disappear and go.
maybe you can say the voice in your head says
Yeah.
blah blah blah. You're talking about
There's
a
a
voice
voice.
in someone's head, not
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
they're doing.
Right.
Is that
It's
still
a
good?
sensory, it's a perception
Yeah.
that you're presenting to the player without making a judgment of whether it's real. or
Don't
not.
say you hear a voice in your head. You just say the
No, you
voice
say-
in your head.
The voice in your head or in your
Okay.
in the back of your mind, it says, right? Or a disembodied voice. Mm,
That's if you know how insane the character is already. Then you can just
Yeah.
work with
So
that.
so the voice is an NPC then.
Yeah. A
Basically.
growly voice. A whisper.
Mhm.
Rick, a
narrative-
whisper goes,
Hey,
you got a gun in your pocket. Use it.
Mhm.
But then what is
No,
the player
I'm just
do?
happy to see you.
Then what does the player do? Does the player feel like compelled, or does the player get to choose? They don't know what's going on.
the players.
Yeah, I
still
think it's up to the
what they
player at
wanna
that
do.
point.
It's like
Yeah.
reading a
It's up to
note.
the player.
Sometimes when a GM tells me that, as like in my 2D days, I'd feel like I'd have to pull the gun out. It's like, okay, well, I guess I have to. I'm no
Well,
longer.
if you do
control
the
of your
4D
eyes.
What is
thing,
that? What is that called when you see the gun? You have to use it by the third act. What is that
Chekhov's
called?
gun.
Chekhov's?
Chekhov's rifle.
So I've never used that.
Yeah.
I've never-
Chekhov's
Yeah, but in 4D, instead of saying, "Oh, he said I got a gun in my pocket, I'm supposed to shoot this guy," you're paying attention to your character, so it's like, well, how crazy am I?
Yeah.
First of all, well, I'm not too crazy. Shooting somebody's crazy. I'm not going to do that just because he thinks
What if it's
I
the
know something is
Manchurian
wrong.
Candidate?
Ooh,
Well,
What'd you say,
again,
Sean?
this is role playing. You've got
You're
to
told
know,
you're gonna-
is my character brainwashed?
Yeah, you're gonna shoot someone
And then-
if you're brainwashed. It's just a
Right.
matter of
If I am, then I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
It's easy. I'm going to role play that because if it's in my backstory or the GM has told me your character is a sleeper agent, and when you hear these words, you're going to shoot the first person you see.
Okay,
Yeah.
now we're going
Okay.
on the other topic that because we talk a lot about like hallucination and perception and stuff like that, but I keep delaying like the possession. Let's go like charm, right? Oftentimes you play fantasy game, your character gets charm. How can we express that? And now like you have to like you fighting a vampire, the vampire charms you. It's one of
You
his
can't
ability.
move. You're paralyzed.
Or you're gonna fight you're gonna switch side, right?
That's
Now
harder.
all of a sudden
Yeah.
like you.
You fight your friends.
How can we
a lot
express
harder.
that, right?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because you have to kind of know the structure of it. You have to kind of know where your limitations are, what you're being compelled to do.
Yeah, but also like the big part what we're trying to do is not take away like player agency as much as we
Yeah.
can, but when you're getting charmed, that's kind of the definition of it, right? It's your agency is being taken away because now somebody else is controlling you.
Or put
So in
something
that
on the
case, would it
character
be
sheet.
all right?
Write something down on the character sheet when you're charmed, and then the players know that they attack the opposite. Depending
You
on
guys
what
are
charm
into like
is.
the secret messages
Yeah,
I used
format.
to be, but that
I
stops
never
the
I
game.
never really use them, but I'm just gonna because I trust my players, I'm gonna tell them like
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's just
openly, and then like I
You-
trust that
I
the
don't
other
wanna
player not
open
gonna
this
meta
one.
game on that topic, right?
Yeah, the post-its are done when you're with players you never played with before. They don't know what's going on.
I'm honestly not adroit enough to manage that kind of thing. I have to do
I
it. pretty
I
much
would rather say
player-facing.
you than text somebody.
And to take Max's example of
Just
the
use
charm
private
spell,
chat and say stuff. You know,
even that, it's like private chat with 4 people, I'm going to say the wrong thing
Yeah.
to the wrong guy and blow it all up. I just have.
everyone's self-destructive.
But if someone casts a charm spell on you, typically there's a game mechanic for a saving throw.
Mm-hmm.
You either make or fail your saving throw. Well, okay, the magic user casts charm person, make your saving throw. Oh, okay, I failed.
Yeah, do it that way
Boom.
too.
All right, now role play a charmed character.
Yeah.
Magic user tells you to do something. Well, I'm charmed.
Yeah.
I got it. You can role play the struggle.
Yeah,
So
and
if
the players choose how to go crazy or how to go into fury state and just attack all the friendlies nearby. Instead of the
Yeah.
GM role playing their character for the rest of the game, or for most of the game.
It's a highly.
I think
if it's a highly defined mechanic, then System Mastery is going to solve it. But if it's like a mystery, and you're playing something that's supposed to that GM is just making up, and you're getting mystified.
But also, I
Oh,
think
what's
like
mystified mean?
the type of a group you have, like, is going to make a big difference in that, because like if the goal of the player is to win the scenario, right? That's going to be a problem, because then they're going to want to go back to not being charmed so they can help the party and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If the goal of the player is to have to come up with this cool fucking interesting story, it doesn't matter on which side you fight, right? So now you're charmed. All right, I'm with the bad guy now, so I'm doing this, right? You don't have desperately to try to resist and come back, right? Because why would you? You're charmed.
Yeah, it could lead into some super interesting things too. You don't have to have your players glued to each other and everything. That charm player could buddy up with the evil bad guy or whoever it is that charmed him, and that could be super interesting.
Now, would you
But
say that
to
the
Phil's-
player lost agency when they got charmed because now the GM's telling them what they're going to do, or does the player get to choose all the stuff they're going to do?
I would want
Ideally,
the
the player
choose.
gets to.
It should be the player.
Because in the
Yeah,
past,
but
for another topic, players don't like being controlled by the GM because
Yeah,
they
and it
failed
shouldn't be.
some persuasion role or whatever. They got taken over by another character in the game. Some players hate that because it's
at some
normally
level.
the GM takes your character over. But spoiler alert: the GM probably controlled you already.
I hate social roles from NPCs to PCs.
Oh, that's something. That's another topic for
almost
another day.
never
social
do that.
role. Yeah,
I like
Nicolas
I
Camargo
did
say, sorry. What if the charm
good
player
enough.
decide to play double agent, saying they're not charmed, but trying? That's very interesting. But trying to sabotage the group. Yeah, that works well.
Yeah.
Why not?
I did like that suggestion to have the roll first for if it's a charm, if it's for social interaction, and you're trying to get a one up on the opposition character that you are opposing. You roll your dice and then you play it out however the dice rolled. If you failed, roll it out as if play it out as if you failed. If you succeeded, play it out as if you succeeded. Of course.
Yeah.
I think that should be key in what
That would
we do.
require that the character knows that they're being charmed, obviously.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and Phil, to your point, you make a good point. What if it is something that's either not 100% familiar? Like you said, you as a game master in a fantasy setting, you've got a magic user who's researched a new spell, Mystify, and you say, okay, you make your saving throw, you fail. Okay, your character is now mystified. Well, what the hell does that mean? I'm happy to role play that, but how do you communicate that to me in the game?
Because if you're charmed and stuff like that, basically, like, what it changed is that your character is still your character. It's
Your
just like his
alignment.
goal and motivation is changed, right? That's what it does, right?
Yes
all of a sudden-
and no, because
Your
you're
loyalty.
being magically controlled.
Yeah,
So
it's-
there is
well,
also that.
depending-
I would
depending
also
to
want
what
to
extent.
role play the battle of ego versus like.
Yeah.
I would want to know how magic works. Like if I'm being controlled,
Yeah,
do I
you have
know
to
I'm
know.
being controlled? And I'm
Mhm.
forcing myself not to kill the person next to me?
Right.
Or am I totally a
That's-
different person and I'm just murdering everyone left and right without even a second thought?
I think you kind of have to take.
It depends on the setting, the magic setting you're in, I guess.
Yeah, but let's say let's try to make up something like very simple.
So
Keep the example of the vampire, right?
Well, there's some good stuff in chat about that, by the way.
Yeah, okay. Look at chat.
Beneath the Planet of the Apes had psionics.
So
and
I'm
the guys
noticing a
trying
kind
not
of.
to be controlled.
I'm noticing kind of a common thread is that
Yeah.
the way to get around this stuff is you make the object of or the subject of the sentence the thing you want to describe. So if you make the feeling of being charmed, so you say a feeling of charm, you kind of I think that you want to make your sentence about, or your description about that feeling, and then describe what it's doing.
Or what if you say like the charmer, like the character like doing the charm stuff, like all of a sudden this guy appears to you very reasonable. Would that be?
Depends on how.
Yeah,
charm
that's
works.
one of the things.
That's a good way to do it.
Okay, you suddenly remember this vampire that you've been fighting is someone who helped you in the past, and they're a friend.
Mm-hmm.
She's hot.
Or you just kind of describe it from the mindset of that charmed player, right? So you say the completely reasonable Dracula seems like he needs some help dealing with these upstarts.
What if you go like
that you see
these ignorant peasants?
You know, there's no way you can defeat this thing, so you might as well join it.
Yeah. So I mean, you're telling them what they know. You're telling them how they feel. You're telling that's what I'm saying.
If that comes after like this
trying to avoid
resistance, this role, this mechanic, right? Maybe that's signal enough. Like you fail, now that's how you feel, right? And then, so in that sense, we kind of like hijack how the character feel, which we usually try to not to do. But maybe in the case of a charm, that's kind of the exception, because that's actually what charm.
That's what it does. Yeah,
but then
it
after
does,
that,
after that,
I told you that, and now it's back to you to decide how you want to act upon that, right? And I trust you as a player that you're gonna build up on that and not try to wiggle away out of it.
What if the player says, "Oh no, I've been charmed. Help me! I don't want to kill you guys. You're my friends."
That's
what
boo, the audience would go, "Boo!" That's not how. That's not how charm works in these movies. You're not supposed to say that. You're totally possessed. You don't still have your own.
So there's a really cool power in Vampire the Masquerade called Summon, where like the magic user, the presence user, can think of someone in their mind, and that person is compelled to come to them, but they can do whatever they want as long as they're actively moving towards the person. Mm-hmm. So they could like call up their friends like, "Hey, I'm being compelled to go to this dude's place. Can you guys meet me there?
Could you show up and help me?
I do not want to do this." So it's like
we'll be there in 3 days.
Interesting scenario.
Assemble.
I'm gonna go get a plane ticket at the airport. Hopefully you guys can meet me there.
Ferrek Zorn say,
what is it? What was that called?
I don't think I ever saw you before. I don't recognize the name. Being charmed or dominated should be role played by the player, not directed by the character. Yeah. Not directed by the character. The fact that it happened doesn't remove agency or more than having physical damage imposed on them.
Exactly. I think that's a great analogy.
Yeah. Something. Yeah, because we're all okay with like we don't want the GM moving your character.
Not direct,
but an NPC could move your character if he's pushing you around and stuff like that. So, and I guess that's the same thing.
Part of that doing 4D role playing is you have to be in that character's head at that moment. And at that moment, what's going on in that character's head is, hey, this vampire that all my former friends are trying to kill is my buddy. I take exception to that.
Oh, you said directed by GM. Yeah, you clarify. I think he nails it there. I think that's the solution there, maybe, because like we say, we don't want the GM to take agency and to tell the player or the PC feel or the character feel. But in the case of charm, that's not that. That's not the GM taking away the agency of the player. It's the NPC, the spell user, the magic user, taking agency of the character.
So I guess you have to role play that character. Mm-hmm. You have to role play that character with those constraints.
Well, who's role playing the character? You or the GM?
Oh, you are.
You
absolutely
you
the player. Yeah, totally.
But now you have like this set of constraint in the way you're going to role play it.
Just GM like if you're wounded in the leg and your character can't walk.
Yeah.
I mean, you're constrained. The GM's taking your agency away. Well, you role play that.
Because in the past, I used to complain about GMs moving players around.
Yeah.
Now I simplify that. I just say, everywhere I've ever said that in history, it needs to be find replace with moving. Replace moving with role playing. So the GM's role playing the player characters.
Yeah.
That's what's
Yeah.
really
You
going
don't
on.
want that.
Because
Yeah,
that's the
you don't
thing.
want
Like we say like moving the like I wouldn't tell you like, okay, now you're by the door, right? That would be like the GM moving the player.
Yes.
But if it's like, well, this guy is like grabbing you and bringing you by the door, then that's not me. That's not the GM moving the player. It's like a character moving another character. And I think it's the same. We can see it the same way with the charm thing, right? I'm not telling
Yeah.
you what you feel. This guys make you feeling that way.
Well, if the
Mhm.
GM can role play our characters, we should be able to role play the NPCs.
Yeah,
Just like
we shouldn't.
just like fudging dice.
Just
If the
like fudging.
GM
Are you being
can
serious, or are you just saying don't roleplay the player?
No, I'm just saying, if the GM's role playing my character, I should be able to role play his character.
So we
Just
shouldn't.
like if the
So you
GM
get to the
No, I'm just
you
saying
get to the
that,
confrontation with the wizard, and he starts casting power word kill, and you're like, you know what? That bad wizard decides, I kind of like you guys. Never mind, and he turns and leaves.
also when the GM
I'm role playing your
G-
character, GM.
if the GM's fudging his dice, the players should be able to fudge their dice.
Well, that's why you
Okay.
don't do that stuff.
Are you saying
You
you want
don't-
to play a
that's why
game
you don't
like
do
that? Or are you saying that's not?
I'm just
good?
saying, if the GM is role playing your character that you made,
Or are you advocating for it? That's what I want to know.
I'm totally for
No,
it.
he's
I'm
just
totally
he's
for
just
it.
causing, he's just
I'm totally
stirring the pot. Don't fall
totally
for
for
it.
it.
He
Yeah,
is
you're not gonna have
stirring
a
the
straight
pot.
answer.
Genuine, I want to dig deeper.
No, what should happen is the players should just leave that table if the GM's role playing their character.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well,
No, I agree.
the sad part is if they do, no one will know they're
At
gone.
least wait until the potty break. Maybe.
Nicolas
If you're
Camargo,
well-mannered.
Camargo say, yeah, you would you even know your charm? Is it the insanity thing? I think with charm, oftentimes it's much like you kind of have to be more direct. You cannot like keep the same kind of level, like unless it's
Yeah,
a slow
because
build
it's a
up,
switch.
because
Well,
it's a switch, right? And it's much more sudden.
You, depending on how you want your charm spell to work, you could run it a variety of ways. You could run it. No, you have no idea that you're charmed. This is where you're at. Or you could have the thing where, yeah, you know you're charmed, but you're compelled to do these things even though you want. You know, you're resisting, and presumably there's a game mechanic to represent that. And those two would be role played very differently, but either
It's
could
like a
work.
grapple rule. You're trying to fight the grapple, but you're trying to fight the charm.
Yeah.
If charm
Yeah,
works
you
that way,
can do it
okay.
that way.
Sometimes charm is
Exactly.
permanent. You know,
Right.
your soul is put in some sort of a crystal. You don't even know where that even is.
And there's
what
there's also like distinction, like, oh, sorry, Rick, go ahead.
What about a Bruce Campbell kind of situation? Going with Evil Dead here. The situation is where he starts being possessed, but it only affects his hand.
The end become an NPC.
So you know
Yeah,
the
you're
character control.
struggling with your hand, and it's
It's a
wanting to
creature.
strangle you. So it
Yeah.
becomes an NPC.
It's a
Technically,
creature. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's we don't see that enough. That's fucking cool.
What are we talking about?
Oh, you'll
You
see
know?
that in Call of Cthulhu.
That'd be awesome.
oh yeah, of course. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
you
It's
can
the
put that
kind
in
of
anything.
Dr. Jekyll. It's the
Or
sort of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing.
Twilight Zone or Outer Limits has that kind of stuff.
But
Yeah,
also like to
Frankenstein.
to reply to Nikolai's there, I think also like there's big difference between like telling the player, like the player knowing that is being charmed, his character is being charmed, and the character knowing as well. Like, you know, and the players need to be able to make this distinction.
It should be a roll.
I like that.
And then
Yes.
based on the result of the roll, we'll determine what the GM's response is. And then GM will say something like Dracula Dracula emits an aura of trustworthiness, and he needs to be protected at all costs.
I would have to know how that works in a
Something like
game before I
Yeah.
even play.
Just make
I know
the
how to
subject
role play.
of whoever's charming, not charging.
But
Whoever's doing the charming is the subject of the sentence. And then
I think maybe that's something that's also need to be a little clearer, no? So like there's no ambiguity.
Like everyone knows what
Okay.
breaking an arm
Then
is
I don't know.
like.
you just gotta tell them.
Yeah,
You have to have a game mechanic that defines it, is what it
Yeah.
comes down to. Like one of the guys in the chat again said, hey, stop, that's my dad. You know, you're charmed, and all of a
Oh,
sudden
yeah.
you think the vampire is your dad.
Yeah.
Sounds like a game.
Now,
that-
which could be
would that
which
work?
could be absolutely which could be comic if your backstory was that your dad molested you. But
It's always like comedy gold.
yeah. but to his, I mean, there's a million ways you could work it so that the player gets to role play the charm effect, I think is what it comes down to. What you just need is a game mechanic that defines how the charm works, and then you leave it to the player to role play.
If an NPC yells out, or a PC yells out, "But didn't your dad molest you?" No. He's a good man.
But he loved me. He loved me. Yeah.
But the charm, would that work? Is there a movie where that happens? The kid says, "That's my dad," and the guy snaps out of it. He's not charmed anymore. Does that ever happen in movies?
Yeah, through the power of love, it makes charms all the time.
Or is charm
I'm thinking
permanent?
more of.
And you
I'm
get added
thinking
to
of
someone's collection of human-sized chess pieces.
Have you ever been
Yeah,
like
like
so enraged you're about to
Shallow
kill
Hal.
somebody?
No.
In Star Trek, they just use
Okay,
logic.
maybe I'm not gonna go down that road.
I've never
Well, I
been
know
a
you're
moment
quiet,
away
I know
from
you see
killing a
red, and then
man.
you get so enraged, and you're about to kill somebody, and then somebody
Okay, that stupid
That's like
scene
your
in
dad.
Empire, was it Empire Strikes Back or was it Return of the Jedi? Luke's fighting somebody, he's fighting Darth Vader or something, cuts off his head and it's his own face inside the helmet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was,
Yeah, that's in the cave scene.
Should he have rolled sanity at that point, or did he kind of understand
Sure,
what
the
was
whole
happening?
time he's in there.
Was that part
What do
of
you
his
think happened in
training?
that scene? He probably like rolled sanity and succeeded his role, right?
Was he
Mhm.
fighting evil, or was he
Still gotta
fighting
fix it.
himself, or was
he
he
failed
fighting
in the cave.
nature?
Now, don't forget, one of the cool things about the sanity mechanism is if you don't make your sanity roll and you suffer insanity, then you make, I think it's a no roll. And if you succeed in that, which you don't want to do, then you actually understand the insane crap that's going on, and you take like the full effect because you suddenly realize a new truth about the universe.
Yeah.
And that
Just
kind
choose
of
it.
covers the case in the cave. You know, he rolls insanity, he fails, he sees his own face in the helmet, then he makes the no roll and he realizes you're your own worst enemy.
Mhm.
You know, you're what you have to fear. And which
You
I saw
stare
it
at
in the
the
theater.
abyss.
He comes out like, no duh.
Okay, in Abyss, you guys see the Abyss?
Of course.
Oh, I've been too
Ed
long.
I love
Harris?
that movie. One of my favorite movies.
Okay,
Great.
he takes off his helmet. He's choking up the water that's in his lungs. He's in the alien spaceship. He cut the right wire. He disarmed the atomics, and he's seeing these aliens for the first time. Would he have to do a sanity roll, or is he, after all he's been through, this is like a piece of cake, talking to these aliens in water?
Well, the Marines sure do a sanity roll. When they see him. The little water tentacle.
That water thing, when they touched it and stuff,
I don't remember.
were they having a fun time, or were they
They all
all
seem to enjoy
paralyzed
it.
with fear, or were they getting out the camcorder? I'm going to record this for the Sci-Fi Channel.
yeah, keep in mind having that reaction, like, oh, let's play with it. That would be
Well, that one
a
guy
great,
slammed the door shut,
insane reaction.
Yeah, that was
and the
Marine.
water goes. He spoiled all their fun.
Yeah, what an
Yeah.
a-hole.
He
Maybe
made
he
a
was
sanity check. The rest of them failed, and we're just having fun with the new toy.
Yeah.
They were trying to communicate with Satan, and he's like, "Enough of this."
Don't worry, guys. I got you.
Nicholas was saying
True
something
hero of
interesting in the
shit
chat there. Like,
movie.
you see, when on their influence, people feel like it's just themselves and not the substance talking, and that's like obviously something like I know quite a bit about, right? Just like being fucking drunk.
Or in Poseidon Adventure, the
You
whole
get
ship,
your worst fucking idea, but you don't think it's like the booze talking.
in the Poseidon Adventure,
Well,
the
that's-
whole ship turns
gonna
upside
get a
down,
drink.
and
I'll do that.
and they have to go to get out of the ship. They're gonna go up to the bottom of the ship. Is there a sanity roll for that, or more like just a logistic roll?
You know what?
In the
Yeah.
Poseidon Adventure,
Oh, I never saw that.
1971.
Yeah, I
You
don't
never
think
saw it?
that would call for a sanity roll, because that, you know, you're kind of you've come into that situation through a series of rational, comprehensible events. You know, it's a ship that's rolled over. And yeah, it's bad, but it's not sanity threatening. You know, you could role play being afraid and should, but I don't think that rises to the level of threatening insanity. If while the ship was upside down, again, you saw somebody who you know drowned come crawling up, that would be sanity threatening. Something that breaks the paradigm. Sanity threats break the paradigm.
Maybe a stress test is more like it instead of sanity. Some games. I
love game that handle stress, and that's something I do in Bastard Sword as well. Like stress is a big factor, and exhaustion and stuff like that. Because I think like people like it's often too overlooked. Yeah. But yeah, Shauna, like in all those movies you mentioned, like I'm one of those people you talk about that don't watch movie.
Yeah, I know.
I watch very little.
Some people read books and they're telling me about all these cool books I read. I'm like, I have no idea. I have no.
Yeah.
I'll listen to an audiobook on YouTube because YouTube.
No, I never do that.
Books.
Yeah.
Or radio shows. I've listened to most radio shows, and now they're just now starting to put them on YouTube.
Space 3D, like we were talking about, like the ending.
I like that.
I think
that's hit locations.
Yeah, I think that's fucking cool, and that'd
be interesting
to use more. Yeah, I could have gone with that in the Witch game, right?
If your character's possessed, would they get stronger? And
depends on
more defense.
It could be.
I don't know how possession would work in some of these games if they actually morph into something stronger. They can fight because they're working with the demons now, so maybe they get extra powers.
Yeah.
Well,
if they join their side.
Could be a great horror moment where you have a possessed character who is aware of what's going on, but like he's fighting against his friends and they're like carving him up and shooting him up, and he's beyond dead, but he's still going after them until the demon finally says, "Okay, I'm done with you." And then
that could happen too. What if he's just being manipulated by like a puppet then?
Yeah, exactly. That would make a great character death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I got. Is this any good?
What's that? I cannot read. I don't know this one.
Something yell.
Rebel yell. Never heard of it.
That's
don't ask me. I drink trash, man.
Billy Idol.
That's Billy Idol drink.
That's Billy Idol's with bourbon.
I drink like good wine, but cheap bourbon.
It's been in my house for like 5 years, so I don't know how much it is.
Well, it's probably better than it was then.
Yeah.
So did we solve the problem of how to do horror when
you guys solve it while I was gone?
People in the room. I think people in the room. One guy sees it, the rest don't.
I think we did solve something like for the hallucination and stuff like that. I think we have like some good lead there that could work. Yeah. Like you're trying to say we need to practice and put them in
Didn't
play.
Each of us say you when we were thinking of something?
Yes.
At the beginning of the video?
Yes, but we correct ourselves, right?
And I think it was Phil who said you do, instead of saying you, it's the voice in your head.
Yeah.
Or something
I like that
similar.
idea. Yeah, the voice in your head. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I like that, and I also like just going for the dramatic kind of mic drop thing. There's no book.
Yeah.
I think that would have a good in-game.
That is the best way to, if you were to go off the 4D super immersion path, and because I think it's immersive.
Because the voice in your head is just an NPC.
Yeah,
you're not saying it. You're not thinking it.
And
the
I think
NPC
what Rick
in your head is saying it.
Right. I think what Rick said is if you're with the party and you say the crazy thing first and then you say the mundane thing second and then stop description and really lean into those.
Rick was saying the opposite, saying the crazy.
It was a mundane first, the obvious, and then the crazy.
Yeah, Monday first.
Well, you know what?
Crazy. And then really lean into those individual, like unique perspective moments.
I think the crazy first and the mundane after.
I wonder.
Could have a more punch, no?
It certainly solidifies the fact that it's not.
That'd be interesting to test and play.
That's an interesting point. If you have, like, again, you have someone who fails their sanity roll, It's like, okay, you walk into a room and there's this toad-like creature with tentacles and it's attacking everybody. Rick, you walk into the room and it looks like it needs dusting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you said you walk into the room, so you're out.
When you walk
Let
in,
him
you're
know.
right.
Yeah.
Hey,
Kick him out.
Crazy, mundane, crazy. Yeah, insanity sandwich.
Escort this
yeah,
gentleman.
I'm going to
Ooh, the
slip and do
insanity
that. That's going to
sandwich.
happen.
Smart.
Yeah, some days
As
are harder
you
than
walk
you think.
into the room,
Doesn't the
No,
crazy
you
Oh,
can't
yes.
see you. You can't
It's
see
hard
you.
getting rid of the we do you. Yeah.
does crazy go in the sandwich? or
No
something?
second,
Don't you-
no second
like-
person.
Yeah, you is not allowed as the subject of the sentence.
Are we eating crazy?
That's going to
bread?
take me a while to master.
Oh, we all like me too, man. I fucking realized that when I was running the game there, and re-listening to me. But like when we say those things, like we say those things as rules, they're ideal, right? It's something we try to drive and
Yeah.
push towards. Nobody's
I think-
perfect, and it's
I think we're
part of the game.
closing in
Aspirational.
on moments where it's better almost to use it.
Well, I was thinking of Rick's character
Might
with
be
the
better than
book.
this.
He's been reading this
Yes.
book. It's a real book. He's been reading it. It's a tech manual for ship operations or something. And it's got captain's handwriting or something. in it.
Necronomicon the hard way.
But later on in the game, later on in the session, his character can't read the book. He says, I can't read this. Someone read this. I can't read this. But he's going crazy without saying he's going crazy. So the other characters are like, what's the deal? You've been reading just fine. You can't read now? What's going on?
Oh, we
You
all
keep,
have
you
that
keep
dream.
your insanity secret from the other characters?
That's an interesting point that Nicolas say. Like in French, we cannot do like we do in Portuguese, like omitting the pronoun. Like in Portuguese, you can just like cut
There's
the.
no you.
Yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to put the subject of the sentence. You can just like because the verb is clear enough, right?
This is conjugated.
Yeah, but in French, we cannot do that.
Is it like Japanese, where you don't know if it's a guy or a girl unless you mention a dress or pants? Oh, they're talking about a dude.
Exactly what he's talking about.
Or in German, where like the grammatical gender has nothing to do with the gender of the person.
Or the subject is the last word of the paragraph.
Yeah.
You read the whole paragraph to find out what the heck's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, this is about a kangaroo. They don't even have those in Germany.
Does the kangaroo have a dress on? No.
Yeah,
The kangaroo has
There's
pronouns.
a dress. There's a dress in this
There's
paragraph.
definitely a
What's-
dress on this kangaroo.
The kangaroo has the dress?
That means it's a lady.
I must be reading German.
Language
you
is so
got-
funny.
You got in Germany. In Germany, you have what? You have Frau and Herr.
Herr und Frau.
Is that how that works? Yeah.
I think
Ooh,
yeah,
that's a good
well,
idea.
Or I think the book things don't work if you remove it, like
That's a
saying the book
great
burst
idea.
into flame, but the other people don't see it until they turn around and it's already gone. Nah, I
And
think
then
it works.
Rick's throwing his hands in the water. Like,
Yeah.
what's
I,
wrong?
th- I think it
I'm
works. It's just like
burning.
just like there's no book
What?
because it make it like
What?
if the book disappear.
That would be a tone thing because the players playing on the idea that he's going crazy, he's seeing the crazy things, and
Yeah.
everyone else is playing it straight because they don't see any of this that
Yeah.
he's talking about because they're not
Yeah.
paying attention. I'm telling you, the gremlins are on the
Yep.
ship.
Yeah,
I think
there's
we,
another great point in chat.
What?
There's another great point in chat
Chat's
about
on fire
that. It's
today.
like,
Way to go, chat.
yeah, they really are. The thing about where he says that's why horror movies never have these
Yep.
direct confrontations. It's always just missing it or not seeing it happen. And
Yeah.
But
I-
that's the thing
you can-
in movie, you got a
kind of
script
that
and
way.
thing or pre-planned, right? So you got more control.
Yeah.
We don't have
Mm-hmm.
that luxury in RPGs.
Well, I think
That's why
that's a
you gotta lean-
mechanism that
Yeah.
you can use that mechanism in an RPG, I think, where you have the other people just miss it. That
Yeah.
can,
Mhm.
that can absolutely
That's what we're talking about with
happen.
the individual
Well-
perspective, like
Yep.
situations. You got to
In
really
Ghostbusters,
lean on
they
those
got
moments.
they got Slimer and Ghostbusters, right? One guy sees it, but the others have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But then he shows up on their floor, and they like, it's been eating
Whoa!
all the. It's been eating
Yeah,
all
I
the
think
chocolate.
that's all. That's the point to that would be like to choose your moment when you want to inject those little hint of insanity carefully, right? As a GM.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good
And
point.
the
Why am I
players have-
disappearing a book just to show off that Rick's obviously insane? Like, why would you ever even do that?
Right. No, it has to have. It all has
Well,
to
you
have.
Shouldn't have done it to begin with.
Now, the hard part is keep in mind if these things are happening that are being triggered by creatures from before time and space, as you're playing it out, it's going to seem arbitrary and odd as as you're experiencing it, because you don't realize until the great denouement what the behind the scenes piece of this has been. So yeah, the book just disappears apparently for no reason.
You just said a really a literary term. What did you say?
So
For the denouement, yeah,
Denouement.
the confrontation at the end with the big
it's
bad.
the ancient language.
It's
Yeah.
the conclusion, if you want. Bill.
Yeah,
If
when you
see
go through the gate of the
work-
silver key and see Yog
It's-
Sothoth face to face.
Like creme de la creme. He's talking like that.
Yeah.
The Grey Poupon.
I just have to learn how to
Oh, you know
spell
you're
it.
sophisticated. Denouement.
Denouement.
It's the
See,
conclusion.
Max says it way better than me.
The fin-
DENOU
Oh, no
and
wonder you can spell that.
NEMENT.
Don't Google it. You're gonna get sent to some weird woke stuff.
Why is there all these gay dudes?
Not denouement, denouement.
It's the gay movement of the story.
Gay movement is what I heard the whole time.
Okay, now you're really into horror.
Yeah, no, but I like what we figured out with the hallucination and stuff like that. And I'm also happy with what we said about the charm stuff, right? Because like say like, okay, it's not the GM taking the player's agency. It's a character taking the character agency. So I think that's where that works. Like you say, like when you grapple or when you shut in the leg, right? So I'm happy with that. I'm satisfied with that. Possession.
Okay, the way Scooby-Doo works, he only talks to Shaggy. Shaggy only knows what Scooby-Doo says.
Does he? Yeah, he was.
None of the other characters see or Scooby ever talk, do they?
I don't know.
I think
I
they
don't
see
know.
him talk, but only Shaggy can understand him, is what I thought.
That's interesting.
But you
Only
might
Shaggy
be
Shaggy
right.
sees
insane?
Scooby-Doo.
Nobody. No,
Oh,
because
wow.
they give him.
Now I got to go back and rewatch that. Holy cow!
Like I know, like Velma oftentimes like tried to compel Scooby to do stuff with a Scooby snack, right?
Yeah.
So they do
Oh,
So
talk
she
to
must
him.
see.
I was-
Okay, so they
I
do
was-
see him.
I was 7 when I watched that cartoon once.
Yeah, I don't remember like though. I don't remember if though only Shaggy can understand what Scooby was saying.
That's what I got. Is pretty much he was the only one who really understood him. But not,
Okay,
I'm not
if Shaggy's
I'm
in the
not a
passenger
Scooby-Groupie.
side and Scooby-Doo's in the driver's seat, they're gonna crash.
You're not a Scooby dude. That's what the
No.
band was called.
I was a Groovy Ghoulies person back then.
Groovy Gooey.
what?
Groovy Ghoulies.
That's not a
I
real
was
name.
Space
Yeah, it
Ghost
is.
and Groovy Ghoulies.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you watch Gumby?
Wacky Racers.
Oh yeah.
Snidely Whiplash. But I never watched
Yes.
So
Scooby-Doo.
possession?
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
I think it's way easier to do possession because you clearly have another entity that is not the player that can talk straight to the player.
But what if you want to let your player like the player plays character, but just like is that the same kind of thing of charm?
I think if you have a good mechanic for possession, you can let the
Yeah.
player role play it, and
Yeah.
it's kind of guided by that mechanic.
But the mechanic is just like to let the player know, like, you know, we talk about the voice in the head. I think that works well. You hear those whispers, stuff like that, like seeing stuff like that works well as well as an indicator. But at some point, like telling the player,
It
like
happens. Yeah.
you feel compelled, you really want to kill that guy, like your buddy. You think you need to drink his blood, right? And then you let the
I don't
player roleplay
know.
that.
Because it's like if the player's playing it, then the player is now playing a demon. Right?
Yes.
Or spirit or whatever. So you almost kind of have to, well, you have to let them know that their personality is shifting.
Yes.
They're going to play something else.
Now, are demons supernatural? So now you're playing a role playing a
You're
supernatural
not getting
being.
possessed by a natural thing.
Yeah.
That's a real weird.
But
setting.
how do you role play a supernatural
Or if
character
you're in jail with
with
me, Will.
with other humans? You know,
However you role play a supernatural character. What's the
because then
problem?
you have to relate to humans. You're supernatural now.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
I-
you know,
You
I've
start
always
saying
been
stuff like
supernatural, Sean.
mortals. You refer
Rick?
to your friends as mortals.
Step one.
I recall
Well,
a
this
couple of instances of demon possession or devil possession in certain movies where where the actual character themselves goes into the back into like they have no control
Oh,
over the
that's interesting.
situation, and the demon takes over and does the things, and the poor character is like, no, I don't want,
Rick, you always have such good things to say, man.
what if
Depends on the
you?
setting.
Oh wait, what if you? What if you had like you know you're gonna go this kind of game, right? But that's kind of like you require some prep. You don't know which character is gonna be possessed and stuff like that. But if we have like your demon got like those character sheet,
Yeah.
and then you can
How
just
does
add,
I
World of
want to
Darkness
talk
do
about
it?
what Rick said. So, like,
Oh, sorry, go
if your like personality is imprisoned in your body, and you
Yeah.
have this like demon that's like keeping you prisoner,
That's how
wouldn't
it's
you
supposed to
rather role play that
yeah,
than
for sure.
role play the demon controlling the body? Like, do you get to
But
do
then you have
both?
2 turns.
The demon
That's what I'm
takes
But what if you
over.
kind of become an NPC and then you're
when
like in
you
this
call-
weird jail? That's awesome.
when you call people, so that's what I was about to say with the character sheet. You know, you give like another character sheet to the player that's possessed, right?
Well, in
then
total
when
party skills, your character is now the GM's character until you get
Right.
cured or
Yeah.
fixed.
You actually
Yeah.
have lost agency over your body. It's a fact.
for
You
sure.
know,
But-
that is
but
one of the
you
occasions
just
where it's
let-
like,
I'm
Could
happy
you
to
just
let the player
trust
do
your
it.
player to role play the demon?
Maybe that's how I
I'd
was
want
at.
to.
I think that's why I brought up the
Yeah.
whole player role plays demon supernatural character because
Yeah, because, like,
it's not even it's now a creature feature.
You could
It's an
just say like,
NPC in control of the
when you
GM.
call like the character's turn, instead of calling like the name of the player of the character, you call the name of the demon, right? And now you know like the demon in control. Tabaga.
Oh, that's smart.
So character versus character is now
That's
the
a good way
safety's
to
been
do it.
turned off in the game.
So you just say
oh
the
boy.
demon's first name.
Yeah.
Dude,
And now the
that's
players,
badass.
you know,
I,
the
I
players
do this
know
kind
like,
of stuff,
oh, okay, now
but
I'm
in
playing
one
this
shots.
character.
Yeah,
But
that'd
I'm
be
thinking,
badass.
I'm hanging out with a bunch of guys that play campaigns, so I'm thinking in campaign mode, how would this work? When you have a
Your
character who's
character's
a-
likely to die. That's how it's
Well,
likely
yeah,
to work. But
Well, you
that's
did mention.
last
I think
long
Max
campaign.
did
On a
mention
quest and
another
expel the
character
demon.
sheet. I think.
Exercise.
But
Yeah,
I did
well,
one
it's
shot.
just
So
like,
there's.
so if you want
you know.
to have like more strength and stuff like that, different skill, different language you can speak, you got your own name, maybe you get some note on personality and stuff like that.
Yeah,
You just
you're
slide that
left-handed
over
now.
to the player, right? Yeah. Well, that's clear sign of a demonic possession. We all know that.
What is?
now there's yeah
Being
there-
left-handed.
Shots fired.
Obviously.
there's a
colorblind.
comment there's a comment in the chat that raises an interesting point that would be fun to do.
Which one?
Do the very bottom one, do the player characters know their friend is not the one driving the meat chassis? It
That's
would
up
be
to the
tremendous
demon.
fun to role play a character who's possessed by a demon who
Men in
is
Black.
adroit enough to mimic their personality, except maybe in little ways. I mean, to role play that out where every so often you're dropping a clue by behavior or speech that something's not quite right with Joe.
Yeah, the guy.
But you're not
filled
like,
up with pepper.
I'm going to kill you all. It's like,
The guy
Joe's been
filled up with
possessed.
roaches. The guy filled up with roaches. Wasn't he kind of normal? And then he gets weirder and weirder as the movie goes.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
well,
You're going
Not even
along
a little
and
bit normal.
you
Sure,
could do it like, okay, you're possessed by this demon, and what do we do? We're all listening at the door, and it's like, oh, I cough, and there's something in my hand,
yeah.
and then Rick says, I look to see what's in his hand. You see a big black cockroach.
Yeah. Tales from the Crypt all the time.
Yeah. But then, okay, and then all of a sudden the door gets pulled open and everybody goes into combat. And then
Boric
15
acid.
minutes later, 15 minutes later,
An hour and a half later. Yeah.
we're dividing up the treasure, and Phil and I are arguing about who's going to get the magic sword. And I'm like, I want the magic sword. I mean, I want the magic sword.
I want
Demon!
the jar of honey.
Instantly.
Yeah.
As soon as I have the
Yeah.
opportunity, I metagame the fuck.
You are also trusting that your players aren't going to metagame. So
I'm
that's
going to
the
kill him
thing.
before he kills me. We have 2 seconds.
One of
left.
my,
So I
know.
think it would be kind of cool because I probably wouldn't want to give the player 2 turns because I want to do both sides like Rick's
Yeah.
describing. So it's like every other
Mhm.
turn. It's like
Well,
you say
or
the
sometimes
demon's
and
name,
it-
and you're like,
just
okay,
I
Rick,
think you can change the rhythm
Okay.
too. Like like you don't know like
Beelzebub.
It's initiative.
Yeah.
His human self gets last turn.
Yeah.
'Cause
well
he, 'cause
no
he
he-
can't
like
control.
it's either like I would do it either your human self get a turn or the demon self get a turn.
Yeah.
What's his
and,
turn gonna be? I'm
okay.
trapped in my own body.
Yeah, I was
Just
just
trying
going
to
to say,
think his way
are
out.
you? Yeah.
Trying
Okay.
to
So
get
you
out
have
of
this
possession.
human you have the human in the back of the brain who can't speak, can't act, can't do anything. Let's say,
Mhm.
pick the extreme case.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Are you just for the sake of the storytelling letting that person kind of have their stream of conscious moment? Oh my god! Oh my god! I
Yeah.
can't move. What's going on?
Yeah, Rick. Yeah, Rick.
Yeah.
What's your turn for?
You're not
Well,
wrong.
well,
but
once
it
in a
might be
while,
it
the
might
way
be a
I
separate
see-
scene.
What's your
The
other
way I
turn
see
for?
it could be anything. If you were trapped in your mind, it could be an iron tower, or something like that, or a maybe it's purely an island with just a mud hut.
Wall of fire.
And you can't get off the island, and you're
Oh, so you're
bleeding
not
out
even
to the,
in your
or
body?
you're
You're not in your body?
You're way more.
well, your brain is discombobulated from your body. So.
Oh, okay,
You're
I thought
just-
you were. I
you-
thought
you-
you were like in the back of your mind.
So,
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
I
you're
mean,
like
it could be anything. You could be in
still
your
feel
own
under
prison
control.
or whatever.
Because
It's-
every time it's your turn, you say, "I look in fear as I slowly go more insane as my friends are
But that's interesting
mauled
what Rick
by
said.
my powerful claws."
Maybe-
you know.
Let me
Maybe your
guess, you look in
consciousness-
fear.
Maybe your consciousness is somewhere completely different, like Rick said. Maybe you see
Yeah,
through
that's-
your own eyes, but you cannot control your body. That demon
Yeah.
is. So that's
Yeah.
something different, and you let the player roleplay the demon. Maybe your human self is just like unconscious, so you don't
Or
know
he's
what's
being-
happening while the demon is in control. I had a
you have
one of
all
my-
these succubuses around you, and
Obviously.
and then and as
Stop
you
pleasuring
are,
me.
and you're like looking into this pool before the succubus, going,
Obviously,
I'm
obviously.
not doing that.
my father had a cousin that got possessed by demons, and he had to have an exorcism and all.
Nice.
True story.
Yay.
Did you fight
But
them? Did you fight the
hmm?
demons?
the kid wasn't he didn't realize he was unconscious when the demon was in charge, right? He had an exorcism, and the priest made a deal with like to compel the demon to leave, right?
What
But
deal did he make?
oh, he just like he forced them to leave, but the demon just say like,
Oh.
we're gonna live in 3 days, but they just wanted to demonstrate their power first, so they made the kid make those insane leap in the air, bigger and bigger every day,
Oh,
and then the kid fell down from the
break
last
his
leap.
legs.
No, because he would just land them, but it just landed the last leap, fell down unconscious, and then the demon were gone. That's the
Well,
story.
That's a crazy story.
I mean,
man.
you could really.
We're
I
Catholic.
mean, the player could negotiate with the demon and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
let me have my body back, and
Mhm.
I will serve you for 10 years or whatever,
Okay,
whatever
which-
deal he makes."
Which movie is that from?
I don't know.
Well, it's Hammer
I don't know.
films,
But
You guys are
I
way
don't know.
too creative for me.
or is
I
it?
can't
Or
keep
is
up.
You could like
or is it Dante's Inferno or something?
you
It's
could like
seven sea.
maybe try to exert your will to one of your limbs too. Like you could pull like your own
Sure.
Oh
or
yeah,
something like that.
like the reverse of Ash.
Yeah, like you're
You're in
fighting.
control
Your
of
will
one
is
your
to
hand.
fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's all
Yeah,
sorts
you're
of ways
just
you
you're
can
just your hand.
interact.
That'd
Yeah.
be so
Yeah,
cool.
just 1 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, see, I didn't even think of any of that. That's why I was wondering. It's like, what would you be doing? But Rick, that would be a really great thing to do.
The guy
And
who
if your game master is like, "Wow, this is cool. Yeah, we're going with this,"
I mean, if he's giving you a
Yeah.
turn, he wants you to do something for God's
Or
sake.
Yeah.
the guy
Yeah.
in District 9 who's turning into a bug.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to. Do you still role play the bug, or is your character gone at that point, or do you
Well,
agree,
if mine was
agree
staying the
before you
same,
If the
start
player
the game?
wants to stop playing it, I'll let him play it. I don't care.
Yeah.
As long as they're working, as
Yeah.
long as they're doing it right.
Who's
as
the
they're not
guy?
fucking it up.
Stephen King was in that movie called Cat's Paw or Cat's Eye or something. He played one of the stories. He's the guy who picks up a meteorite and he licks it, and then his tongue starts turning
You
green,
do.
and then his whole body
Oh,
turns
wasn't
green.
that like one of those like Tale of the Crypts thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Creep Show. Maybe it was called Creep Show.
Creep Show. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
4 or
And then
5
he's
different stories.
turning all airy. Yeah.
His name was Jordy or something like that. And he ends up taking a shotgun and blowing his head off because he didn't want to turn into whatever that meteorite was going to turn him into, or whatever planet that meteorite came from. Had some
Yeah, I like the
cells
fact.
on it.
I like the fact Max doesn't watch movies, but he watched that.
It's probably in Canada all the time. You know, there's
Yeah,
still
sure.
posters in the drugstore.
Every
On
Christmas.
our three channels. Yeah, one of our 3 channels.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
one of the guys in the
Friday
chat
at
says
11.
he was turning into a plant and then he kills himself.
Yeah,
With a shotgun to the face.
because he would lick everything. I guess that was his
Stop
character.
licking
That's something
stuff.
his character
Holy
would
shit.
do.
Yeah. It's like he's got a compulsion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't that bright.
That's Crispy. Crispy was eating all the witch stuff.
Yeah. Arun said the entire world RP would be cool, but that's a bit like a single player shopping trip if they go and Alice in the Wonderland adventure. I think that would be like need to be used with caution to not double down stuff
Stop
like that.
crying, other players.
Well,
honestly.
who's building the Wonderland? Who's
And
building
also like
the world?
GM starts it for sure, right?
also
I
like
love
GM
there's
the
sets
idea
up
of-
a prison.
well no yeah well
What if the player
If
comes
the
up with
demon
all
makes
that
it,
stuff?
if it's in the player's head, I would say go ahead and let the player make it because it's
Yeah.
probably like his
Yeah.
childhood or some crazy
It's
shit.
Exactly,
fake
it's in
anyway. It's
world.
not real. It doesn't.
have you seen the
count.
movie The Cell?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
There you go.
When that horse gets
I saw that movie on a date. at the
vivisected
drive-thru,
or whatever
so-
they call it,
So you didn't see much of the movie.
cross sectioned.
I think
Yeah,
I was
it's
on
a shame
acid,
like
actually.
JLo was in that movie. It was a cool
Yeah, you have-
concept, but fuck, she's
That
bad.
movie and Naked Lunch. You
He's
have to
such a
watch.
Fucking
You have to drop
novice.
acid when you watch those films.
Man, you told Phil that to watch right? Naked Lunch. I fucking love
dating
Naked
yourself,
Lunch.
Shauner.
Naked Lunch. The guy sniffing his own pesticide and stuff.
Yeah, man, I love that movie.
Spoilers.
I love
Talking
that
to the
movie.
alien. He wants
That's
to
in the
write a
start.
story.
I'm added
Yeah.
to the homework list. I forgot to add it.
I
I
tried
said
to read
don't
the
watch
book
it.
though. I tried to read
Yeah,
the
but
book.
then
I
Max
did
said
not read
to
the book.
watch it.
Yeah,
I love the fact that it's not a crazy enough movie. Shauner said you have to drop acid while you're watching it. It's like
Oh my god.
you're not
Can we
only
talk-
dating yourself, you're
can we
not
talk
only
about
dating
acid stories
yourself,
real
but
quick?
that's just beyond weird.
Okay.
I dropped
That just
acid
goes
and-
bad places.
I dropped acid and watched What Dreams May Come. That movie's fun. That movie's crazy.
this
You
show
seen
doesn't
that
come
one?
down
Oh,
the,
sure,
the
yeah.
consumption of acid. I just wanted to tell people in chat.
We don't recommend this.
Sorry.
You can see what the result has become.
Yeah, it was just like a. It's just an
Well, in the
alcohol.
old days, it was 2001: A Space Odyssey. The hippies would do the acid and the LSD.
Yeah. Oh, I can
Otherwise,
see that.
they didn't understand what was happening in the movie.
I don't think they did it.
And then Wizards came out, so you had to do it
Idiots.
for Wizards.
With
Oh, the animated one.
Fritz the cat.
Yeah, Fritz
Yeah.
the Cat. To understand what the hell's going on, you have to have
Oh.
LSD in your system.
Heavy metal,
The
man.
Inquisitor
Heavy
Dungeon
metal.
said something here, like, or maybe the closest
And heavy
person
metal,
soul is
heavy
Captain
metal is
L.
understandable.
Yeah,
That one's
exactly.
yeah, that was a kids movie.
Okay,
So,
you
in that
explained the
situation-
Corvette.
In that situation,
You
I
explained
think
the
you went
Corvette in the
GM.
spaceship.
Oh, when he ejects the parachute after he hits the ground.
Yeah. When he
Russell
just drives
Rules.
straight out of the spaceship in the
Rails,
Corvette at the beginning, wearing
Yeah.
a spacesuit. It's like
Yeah,
no,
He waits till he hits the ground, and then the parachute comes out.
Well, I've actually seen heavy metal on acid, so I can tell you it's
Oh.
it's
you
entirely
understand it?
different.
Does it hold up?
Okay.
No,
Was it the
no,
same movie?
that wasn't the point. You know,
Was it dated?
you
Was the
just
movie dated?
experience it, Shauner. Experience it.
Could you see all the flaws in the film?
No, hell no, hell no.
Oh, okay. Was there a better ending?
It's the opposite of seeing all the flaws in the film. You invent badass parts.
That's right. You fill it.
Right.
Well, to the point of the comment that's up at the moment.
Yes. So in that situation, I'd have the GM create the prison for sure.
Yeah, that's just having the player being tormented.
Hell
to
is
me,
kinda
that's
subjective,
less than
right?
that's less than interesting.
They're
I
in
guess it
jail. The
depends on
player's in
form of
jail. They're not. The
everyone's
players.
personal
The
hell
player
is
still
different.
has agency, so I'm okay for
I
that.
liked Phil's idea that the idea of suddenly you're in a dark iron tower, you're on this tiny little island with a hut,
Oh, that was Rick.
and
What
you
if-
can tell that you're in this very limited reality.
Also, like
Did you
you
see
That
can,
seems more atmospheric to me.
Did you see the
that's
movie
something also
Nope?
you can let the player describe when they come back, right? What happened to you? Where were you? Right? And then the player can come up with that shit. Why not?
Guys, I was in hell. Let me describe it.
Yeah. But what I want to and
Yes.
No
is
need.
it true? Is it
No
not
need.
true?
We're all
Who
married.
knows, right? The player, the character can describe. The player can describe that. The character can describe that. Like, oh, this is what I. Is that really what L was? Is that just what you saw? You never know what is true, what is not, right? When you come into this crazy stuff. But what I would say also on that comment, it's also something when we talk about demons, stuff like that, like in a Christian perspective, which is the correct one. But you have to remember the when demon possess people, like the motivation is also to stay out of hell. They don't want to go back to hell. So like inhibiting a body is like they're kind of hiding stuff. Like so there's also that, and they compelled to do the
That's cool.
anyway. Yeah, they're afraid to go back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can play around with that and have a lot of fun with as a game master and as a player. So you just have to keep your mind open about not metagame. So
would you guys let the player invent the prison, or would you let him 4D the prison? Of course,
Sure.
you'd let him. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, especially if you didn't plan on having a space prison dungeon demonized thing scene in the 5th dimension. The player has to come up with that. The player
So
gets to
how do you
narrate
get
their-
how do you prompt the
their
player
fate.
without saying you? How do you get the player?
good
How do you
question.
prompt the player to do that?
To invent
describe
their hell
how
prison.
that looks like for the rest of the class?
Describe it.
Oh,
I want you to describe it.
No,
Share-
it's like
Do you have something to share with the rest of us?
yeah, I like a character.
my own
a character-
personal
a
hell.
character. A character has a
Okay.
character.
That's
Wait-
powered by
wait
the
a minute.
apocalypse.
Okay, Shauner, you got me on that one.
Oh, yeah.
You were actually doing it. You just described hell. A GM saying,
Yeah, I
"Tell
was
me
in
what
the-
that looks like."
I was in
You got
those
me.
games.
You
I
got
was
me.
in those game sessions. I was in hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But
but seriously,
no, that's the thing.
how would you prompt a player? How would you clue them in? This is what's going on. What are you seeing? What are
If
you
you
feeling?
want to let the player like make it up, right? 40 it, like we would say, just let them, right? Like a character asks like, where were you? What happened to you? Like where is your mind? What did you see? And you can
But I
just
mean,
go,
okay,
The end of
Well, but
Brainstorm.
during-
Remember Brainstorm with Christopher Walken,
No.
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 Natalie Wood? Anyway, they put this thing on their brain and they can see into heaven.
Yeah.
So I would let the player describe what they see when they put the thing.
But again, okay, you're sitting here, you roll the dice. Okay, the demon has possessed you.
Yes, that's the key.
You
is that you tell
Your
them
body
that-
is now
yeah,
drawing its sword and attacking other players.
this would be the player knows that their character's done. And
Yeah,
they're gonna
because
be
they've already
they'll have to
taken a
make new
demon
character.
turn. So they've already taken a demon turn, and then you're like, okay, let's do Rick's turn, and then
Yeah.
what?
I mean, if I'm a
Right.
player, I'm clueless at that point. I got to admit.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah,
No,
how do you describe
okay,
how
Dan,
a demon?
Dan, Dan.
I mean, the game
You get
master
to
could
narrate.
prompt
You
it.
get to narrate your end death scene at that point for your character.
Maybe it doesn't have to be well
or your
defined either,
purgatory.
right? If a character asks the character that was possessed how it was, what he's seen, stuff like that, and the character start making up stuff,
Yeah, that
you roll with it.
after
If the character come back blank, then maybe the GM can say like, describe
that was
something like
after the fact, though. It's easy. You just have someone ask them. I get that, but
Mhm.
if you're trying to do this the way Rick suggested, okay, while the demon is acting and you don't have agency over your own body, you know, the idea is you're off somewhere in this self-designed prison or having whatever experience. How do you give the player a clue as the DM? Make some stuff up.
I got this.
Could
May
you
I?
say it? Oh, yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
All right. So first of all, let's assume that the player has taken a demon turn. That I think that conversation on
So we
how
let the control of the demon to the player.
they've already done a turn like that, and then you're like,
Mhm.
okay, Rick, like you do that kind of training wheel thing, and then they're like, I don't know what to do. Then you move on, and then next time it's their turn, you say, Rick, it's wet. And you just like throw like one thing at them, and they're like, "Oh fuck, it's wet! What the fuck is going on? Where
And then you
am
move
I?"
on.
And then
Okay, that's good. That's genius.
Yeah,
and then
that's
it's
good. I
like,
like that. Yeah, I
and
like
they're
that.
like, "Oh, I'm feeling around," and it's all wet. And that kind of like triggers them.
He's
You
being
know, or
digested by
you're
the
very
space
hot.
maw.
It's
Cold.
hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be
I
to
was
him
about
a
to say
space
like
ball.
you could say like something like Rick, and if he doesn't come in it
Head
with
first.
anything, you just say, like you're trapped in the prison of your own mind, and then you move
Mhm.
on,
Sure.
and then maybe that's the signal. Like make some.
But you don't.
Make some
But
shit
you're
up,
given
right?
that perfect knowledge. That's what I'm
But-
saying. You don't want to give that perfect knowledge to the person.
Yeah, I
right.
think
No,
Yeah,
I like what
I
you
think
said
Phil's
better,
right.
Phil. I like what you said better, Phil.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
next
just
turn
giving,
is
like,
the
just
water
one thing.
drain. The water's draining, and there's
Okay.
a light coming on,
Like you're fucking.
and
going on a train,
and
bitch.
he's hearing a door open, and some guy in
Yeah.
a lab coat shakes his
Yeah.
hand and says, "Welcome. You've passed the
or
test."
just go with, you know, Rick,
It was
your
all a
mom is
dream.
You made it
calling.
out of the earth.
Your
Paid the
mom is
bill.
calling you. It's
We're
time
in
to
the
unload,
middle of the
Rick.
fiddle.
Yeah.
I just want to
Okay.
reply to that space.
Now I gotta
rodeo
have like 5 possession games so we can do this.
about the French
As
RPG.
another
Manifest. I think
possession,
I saw it around, but I never I saw that it existed, but I never looked at it. So I guess there'll be no Malefice.
Don't know
We
what
have
that is.
there's a bunch of French RPG that are like quite different than what you see in the Anglosphere.
Yeah. There's a lot of like
Uh,
really good French culture out there. I've noticed that they don't really let on.
Oh, here we go.
No, we don't. They
I'm
don't.
going
share.
down a rabbit hole.
Max, you have to expose this for us.
What is
Yeah.
what does the guy say in Groundhog Day when the girl says her degree she has
Oh,
a
what a
degree
waste
in
of time.
he says what a complete waste of time. French
Degree in
history of French
studies.
literature,
Yeah.
romance French literature, something like that. What a complete waste of time.
I love the Brazil movie. One of my favorite movie.
Yeah,
That's
that
one
one's
of
It was a great
That
movie.
was
And
a
it
good
was a great
insanity bout.
I
Yeah.
like
and
I
on
like
the
12
list.
Monkeys.
and Nicolas said, "Wait until you see the real
Ricky
thing."
Monkey.
Like Brazil, the country is one of my favorite places in the world. So there's that too.
Never been.
I love going there.
Exciting.
It's
So
gonna be
possession.
winter
So
there
yeah,
So are we
It's gonna
ready
be
to
winter down there.
wrap it up for the evening?
No,
Yeah,
we're just
close by.
starting. This is just a warm up.
I think possession. Yeah, possession about
For
like letting the
Sean,
player like.
I can talk
letting the
about this
player,
all
like-
day.
I think it's interesting to. Should we let the player both roleplay like his human consciousness trapped and roleplay the demon, or is it one or the other?
I don't think you
I
give
think
him
it
more
depends.
than. I don't think you give him extra turns.
Depends
Yeah,
on the
I agree.
setting.
You just kind of leave him.
Yeah.
Like the demon's not going to be acting fast, right? He's going to be like skulking around,
Yeah.
making his presence
Yeah, well,
felt
Yeah.
over here.
I think it depends on the demon and the situation that you're
Sure.
putting them in, whether the GM
Depending on the
wants to
tone as
control
well.
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
the setting, the way
Yeah.
demons work in the setting, I guess, the lore. Does the player go into dormancy in a cocoon
Yeah.
while this is all happening? I was
No,
there
he's
the
in a
whole
prison
time.
of his own mind. We've established
Exciting.
that
Yeah.
several times, John. I'm
He's
sorry.
naked. He's
How about a demon?
covered in slime.
I think we.
Left.
No,
I think it was a very good conversation. We did made some progress and come up with cool idea, right?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
we did
We
it.
didn't,
Yeah,
we
I-
didn't say
Just
you
fucking
that
advice
much.
you won't see elsewhere, guys. You know, just like
Yeah.
And now I can't use any of those ideas. I feel kind of bummed.
Yeah. No, we're done.
Sure you can.
We instantly need to do a demon possession game. I don't know what's gonna happen. Hopefully in Crispy's gangster game tomorrow.
yeah, it's
There'll
gonna
be
be like
some
suddenly
demon
there's gonna be like demon possession.
Yeah, just summon one.
Just
Surprise the hell out of
feeder.
Crispy.
I'm
Yeah, you
actually
just
going to be
surprised the hell out of
playing a
Crispy
possessed
and-
gangster.
Yeah, I summoned a demon, Crispy, and it took me over.
Yeah.
It could
So is
just
there
start like
something else
that. A character summon a demon and they failed their summoning roll or something. Now the
Yeah.
demon's like,
Yeah.
he has no
Inside them.
control over it.
Now he's in my body.
And
No, the
it's-
game starts
Okay.
with you notice a small smudge in the chalk line on the floor.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rick.
Oops.
Damn.
And the
And the
voice
demon
in
is
the
jumping
back of
from-
your head.
What if the
Feel a
demon is jumping from
gargoyle
character
tail.
to character? How you would
Sorry?
indicate that?
Without saying you.
The
Without saying you.
without saying you.
You
You
can't.
can't say anything about chalk.
You
with
can't do it.
and
It's
you.
not possible. Without some sort of indicator that another character has control of the demon, I don't know how you're going to do it. Unless you say,
Well, depending on
the
I
demon
guess-
leads to Rick.
I guess if you want to do that, you
You just
cannot
straight up say it.
leave the control of the demon to the player that's possessed. So I guess in that
Oh, everyone's going to want to turn.
Well, the player
yeah, but
just
like
has to know when they can switch from one character to another at that point.
Yeah.
And just keep role playing.
Everyone's going to want to turn with the demon toy.
No, thank you. I'll
It's just
pass.
another, unless the demon's like in dormant hibernation.
Yeah, he could be sleeping. You never know.
Yeah.
He decides to sleep.
Why
and
is he
dream,
jumping from person
then
to person?
player
and
comes back in.
napping? What are we talking about?
No, you
What?
got this
No,
gargoyle-looking thing
That's
that's
like a-
oozing slime, and that used to be Rick. Where's Rick?
So whenever
Oh,
it
he's over
jumps to someone, they start napping and oozing.
there. No,
That's
before
what we're talking about.
no, not
First it
necessarily.
does
Like,
hibernation.
they look like normal person,
it does a
but now like
hibernation,
they want to do evil.
Rick's body gets crapped out
I
the
know what you're
back
saying, Max.
once
Yeah.
once the metamorphosis is complete.
Yeah.
And now,
Sure.
Rick's character's gone, and now he gets to role play the demon if he wants.
Let's just say it prevents challenges if the demon goes from person to person.
Prevents challenge.
Yes,
Oh.
it presents.
Person
Presents
presents,
challenges.
yeah.
Challenges.
Okay,
was
in
gonna
Star
say,
Trek,
I think the
Wolf and-
opposite.
Wolf was it Wolf in the Fold or whatever? That Jack the Ripper character on board the Enterprise, he hops from character to character with a knife.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a
That's
Denzel
not
Washington
hard to
movie
do.
like that?
Yes.
I think so. That's not hard to do in a role playing game. Have a
it?
demon hop from character to character.
Do you let the player that is possessed control the demon while they're possessed?
Yes.
Sure. I mean, that's in the contract.
Yeah.
Player versus player,
That's
character
almost
versus character.
the entire
But
game that you're
Who gets to
creating.
narrate
Yeah,
failures? Who gets
but
to
my
narrate
point-
Making an entire game
successes?
designed to let players control
Yeah.
a demon that's
World
possessed.
of
But my
Darkness
point,
is
my
all
point in
about
that
that,
case
right?
is how can you, how would you indicate that? That now
Mhm.
you're the one that's
That's the
being
question.
possessed. How do you
Mechanically,
manipulate it?
how do I know when it goes from Rick to Phil?
You just tell
Yeah.
them.
You just tell them.
The demon
someone-
leaps
there's a-
from Rick's body and jumps into
depends-
Shauner's body. Now,
Is it a
do any
contact
of their
thing?
characters actually see that? That's up to
Is
the
it a
player.
proximity thing? Is it like the Hidden where they have to breathe
Yes,
into
it's a
your
proximity
face
thing.
and the alien crawls out of the guy's mouth into someone else's mouth? I don't know. You'd have to know how the
Yeah.
demon works, how it transfers
Right.
from body
You'd have
to
to make-
body.
Yes, you'd have to. No,
Okay.
Kind of technical.
it's not that.
What if you don't want the player to know exactly what's happening,
to
right? And you just like,
I don't know. I have to read the book.
Demonology. I got my demonology book from
But
Finally.
kind of goes back to some other things we said where if your character wouldn't, it's cold in the cave. What do you
Yeah.
do?
Mhm.
Well, I don't feel cold. I'm
Maybe
a
the
robot,
demon is
so I'm
warm-
walking through.
The
Don't
demon's
care.
cold-blooded, so if you go in an ice cave, the demon lets go of you and looks for a warm place.
Are you derailing this on purpose? I can't tell if you're.
yes. I think we should. I think it was a good stream, guys. I think we had a good conversation. We didn't solve everything, obviously. We never will. But
will.
I think maybe it's time to wrap it up.
Got some
I think
good
we,
ideas.
We will.
Yeah, we passed the
We're
2 hour
not
2 hour and a
leaving
half mark.
We will.
What?
We're not
And
leaving
I'm
the stream
I'm
until we
Yeah.
do solve.
you solve everything. Yeah, exactly.
And we will. Oh
Post
yes,
your problems in the chat. We'll
Say-
we
solve
will
them.
solve it.
Yeah, if you
Shauner's doing it to us again. He's running a role playing game we're all stuck in now where we're
Oh, should you start farming the chat for content? So be like, what were some ideas
Oh yeah,
you guys
yeah.
would
Do
like
your
for
comment thing.
streams?
there's some
Throw
good
it in
stuff
that.
in there.
Throw it
He
in
always
there.
The
does
what?
the comment thing. You have to do
Yeah.
the comment thing from the
Yeah,
very
yeah.
beginning.
What I'm saying, like,
Yeah,
ask
like
the
there's
chat.
some good
Dungeon,
stuff.
say, like isn't the whole premise of the World of Darkness demon
World of
game? Is that a
Darkness.
World of Darkness demon?
There is a World of
There's
Darkness
a
Demon
demon.
the Fallen is what it's called.
Oh, I never saw that one. That as you play as possessed individual. Maybe a 4D game, demon game. You know, I want to do like a 4D. We didn't have like a real horror game yet, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No, not yet.
What? What was
Not
the
yet.
witch in the
I'm
cave
bringing-
thing?
I'm
I
bringing
guess
you
the
in,
witch. I
Dice
guess the
Man.
witch
Well,
was the
yeah, I
closest
guess.
thing. Yeah, yeah, I guess investigation kind of. Yeah, I guess.
And then you did
Wasn't like-
another game, right? That had some horror in it.
Yes.
I don't think so.
I mean,
I'd say the Traveler game.
Centauri was kind of
Yeah.
kind of
You know,
horror.
Castles and
It's a space
Crusades, isn't that
Oh
kind of
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
horrific?
Yeah, there was quite a bit of horror in that one. That was a. You
Yeah.
guys sounded genuinely scared in those tunnels.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
was-
They're
Yeah.
lost. Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, you guys were actually lost for a long time in that one.
You could use a visual cue for the demon, like a monkey on the character's back, then he leaps onto another character. You could. It depends what you want to do. If you want to be like subtle
Oh,
about
yeah.
it, right?
That's actually
That's what I was
really
thinking
good
about.
idea. So you have
Curious
like
George from
you
hell.
describe it on the absolute level, where it's like you describe what's happening in like the mystical plane, where it like leaps over here, and then obviously none of the characters can see that, but it's like the audience could see that. You know what I mean? I think that's a really good idea as
And
a
you got
way
a cat
to
in the back.
make it happen. I don't.
Oh, so the audience becomes a player.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say that's a whole other dimension. That opens a whole huge can of
5D
worms.
right there. 5D.
The
Yeah.
fifth D, man. That's true.
What
We're
about-
here.
what
We're
about-
here.
Opening the gate to the fifth dimension.
Oh my God.
Each character takes a turn being possessed because the demon knows the way out of whatever they're trapped in. The demon is going through the jungle. It's like you're really in a spaceship with corridors
back.
and hallways,
Obviously.
hangar decks, alien or robot synthoids trying to kill you, whatever in the hallways. But the demon thinks this is a jungle, like a planet Pandora with avatars and crap. So whoever's got the demon in their head sees the ship like that, and that
okay.
shows the way out. Swim down the river, go off the waterfall, jump on the flying thing with the USB thing, and do the thing.
It tells
It's
you
like
who the demon's possessing too.
the blue cat people follow where the blue cat, and then someone's like, that person gets unconscious. The demon goes into someone else's head. That person then continues on, if they're nearby, going on the Pandora ride, because that's where the demon exists. And eventually they get each character eventually gets to where they need to be on the ship to disarm the nuke or whatever. And the demon is just helping out. But the demon's causing the nuke.
Helpful.
The demon's taking them all to the
I like
nuke.
that.
The demon's
great idea.
the demon's taking them all to
Demon takes
this
them to the
temple.
jungle.
So the
Get
demon's
it.
saving
The god-
them all.
the god worlder thing, but it's really taking them
That-
to where the nuke is
That's
going to be disarmed.
that sounds like a COC game I'd run where the whole thing is
Yeah.
in effect a Shaggy Dog story.
You're
And
only
in
a
the
player
end,
if
the
you
demon-
donate $5.
Yeah, exactly.
The demon takes you to the polonium 138 globe,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
you take the brick off it at the last moment, and the demon core never explodes.
Like that, Nicolas, something I might need to implement.
Which
like,
is a real thing.
I
And
can get
the
this for
demon
chat.
Are you enabled, Mac?
Yes.
Or you steal the
Nice.
trash man guy
that's
from
right,
the
I'm sub to you.
stand. He'll bring
Yeah.
the bomb to you.
We're joined to you. We're joined.
A member.
Yeah.
A member.
Or the shining.
I'm your
know.
member. Max.
That movie,
Yeah.
The Shining, you can go to that place
coming.
for real. It's a real place. And then you can just role play that you're in a hallway.
The
and-
Shining is a real place. You mean that little
Yes.
cabin?
The motel.
Yeah, there's actually a hotel, but they
Yeah,
Overlook
it's a real
Hotel.
place.
Yep.
Oh, I want to go there.
It has the maze and everything.
Does it have the blood elevators?
Yes. Yeah. Every day at 5.
In Pinewood Studios.
Handy. It's how I keep
Oh,
the wrinkles off my skin.
Yeah, you can get locked.
a
Oh,
bath.
yeah. Like the
But Ridley Scott needed a scene for Blade Runner, and Kubrick said, "Hey, I got footage from The Shining if you want to use it." And he's like, "Yeah, I'll use it." And that's why the end of The Shining looks like the beginning, or the end of Blade Runner looks like the beginning of Shining.
in the car
Wow.
when they're driving
They're
away.
just driving around.
Yeah, they're driving
Oh,
on the
really? I
same
didn't
roads
know
in
that.
both movies.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
borrowed from each other. Here, I have some.
So yeah,
footage.
what I would do with the how to describe where the demon is I'd make it super badass description that only is able to be seen by none of the player or none of the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm not gonna say demons on you, Max. I want to
The
say,
evil is in you.
yeah, I want to describe some weird other
This-
plane dimension.
Yeah, this
that
round the
leads
demon
from
is
one guy to another guy.
Max has
What
the
do you
demon
want?
for this round. What do you do?
What am I on?
Yeah, exactly.
I've been drinking bourbon for a little bit.
He's
What do
high.
you do?
He's high on life.
Make your demonic possession resistant roll.
He's
So you
Texan.
failed, so the demon is in
He's a
you now.
Texan.
I'm gonna
That's what
roll.
I do.
Yeah,
Who's the
I
Texan?
win.
Phil?
I won.
Yeah, Phil is one of them
Yeah.
streaming
One of them
Texans.
Texans.
Yeah.
Texans.
I have a question. How come there's so few role players on the West Coast and most of the role players supposedly
ran
on
them
the
off?
East Coast?
You ran him off, Shauna.
I was the first one.
I don't know.
The closer you
We're
get to
in Canada.
Geneva, it seems like there's a horde of so-called role players.
Texas is the new hotness, guys.
Crispy's on the West Coast.
Is he?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, kind of. He's not on the coast.
Alberta,
Coast.
Same time zone? No, he's not the
He's in
same
BC.
time zone as me.
Yeah,
is
he's
he?
same.
Where
same
are
time
you
zone
at
as
there?
He's the same
Dan?
time zone as me?
Yep.
Okay, so that's another role
Pacific.
player then.
Yeah.
You're on the. Where are you at there, Dan? What time
Same
zone?
place, California, Lake Shawnee.
California.
There you go. You got one.
Yep.
There you go.
Black gold
Central
Texas
Sierras.
tea. He's
Easy.
in God's country.
I am. The only
West
thing that can
Coast.
keep me here. Yeah,
It's
living in the
God's
Sierra
country.
Nevadas. It is.
Oh wow.
Fair enough.
The 395.
No
I used to
wonder they're
drive up
making
and
it
down
go to
that road.
hell.
I'm on the Atlantic.
Most D&D players are on the East Coast
Seems
or
like
near
it.
Michigan
Or in
or
Midwest.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, exactly.
Wisconsin.
All right, guys. I think I'm gonna wrap that up for tonight. I think it was a very good conversation. A lot of useful advice among all this, like.
I'm going to
almost 3
rewatch
hours
the
now.
chat and see what
Yeah.
the chat said.
The chat had some good comment. I put them up. Like sometimes they were talking among
Very good.
themselves and stuff like that, right? Sometimes they were just like
Yeah,
Selfish.
things that we said.
they're probably killing each other online. In the
No, it was
chat.
pretty civil. It was a slow chat. It was not that
No
many
one
people.
died. No one was born during the chat. Okay.
I don't know.
Someone was asking for a gynecologist earlier. I don't know what that was about.
No, like at Woodstock, someone died and
That-
someone was
I figured it
born.
wasn't worth mentioning.
No private chat at all.
Don't do the brown acid.
Yeah, I think next week I'm gonna do. Next week we're gonna be in March already. Can you believe that? Fuck.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, it goes fast.
That's such a
It's called-
Canadian sentence. Can you believe that? Fuck.
Hey. Hey.
But I think I'm gonna do just like an old school show, right? Opening more the floor to the plebs, to the
To the
masses, people that want to join.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we can just like
You're gonna
discuss these kind of things.
proselytize the 4D a little bit more.
Exactly. If people have questions, stuff like that. I like those conversations more guided, where we're like specific topic and we can like go fucking deep with like some like the most brilliant mind in the RPG.
Oh, God.
Yeah. But
You're welcome.
honestly,
you're
like,
gonna,
honestly,
you're gonna
guys,
hurt cats.
the thing, yeah, I'm gonna yeah, but I like herding cats sometimes, as you can tell.
Mhm.
But because I find like oftentimes the conversation is fucking stale, right? We're not doing like here are like five tips to make your player care about your game, right? Just like fucking kill me, like everything does that, right? Just like, what's the
Okay,
one you
now
did
you're
today?
just
I
you're
should
just
make-
hoping to get Ginny. You're just hoping to get Ginny D to come to your stream.
I
I'd
should make a
love to
sister.
I want to
Yeah.
get Ginny D on my stream. I'd love to talk to her about her experience, stuff like that, and try to, if I can get her to,
She's just
if
a
I can give
cosplayer,
some
though.
idea, then she can then bring to her audience. That'd be great. No,
Yeah,
why
it
not?
would be good to hit up one of the mainstream influencers.
What is her
and
audience, though?
to come discuss it?
Just
Sims.
random simps with no videos
Yes.
on their channels?
Yeah,
No idea.
yeah. But like because those people,
Me
they
too,
always
guys.
react the same fucking advice. What?
I've heard number one fan.
Watch your mouth when you're talking about her.
You're killing me, Phil.
Feel the thrill.
You're gonna dye your
But,
head green.
That's
So
what
yeah,
she
but yeah,
requires.
Let's be nice with his lady friend.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna have that topic as well. I don't know. I'll see. Maybe I'm just gonna do like a random stuff, like a hangout, like I used to do a little more, because I love those still, and I like talking to regular people, right? People like
Yeah.
The masses.
regular people, like different people. That's the way I would say. If you
So
have people that watch later on, like I want to thank everybody that joined me here tonight. I want the people that join us in chat and people that are gonna watch on the replay. If you have question you would like me and my guest that I have to address, leave them in the comment down below. Make sure to like and subscribe. I got to say that, I guess. But yeah, leave those comments under this video, and then I'll try to address like the comment and question in the subsequent episode and stuff like that. If you want to like this kind of an in-depth conversation, stuff, and then you can join in chat and give your grain of salt, right? So you can
You're gonna
subscribe
get
to all those
D&D
guys as well.
players.
What?
You're gonna get D&D players
So
who don't 4D.
That's
We all
okay.
been there.
Drag you down. They're gonna
The-
drag you down. Make you
because
say
the 4D movement only needs about like 5%
Yeah.
of the players.
that's a huge number.
We only need,
5%.
we're
5%
shooting
of
for like 2
10
people out of 1,000.
Yeah. That'd be great.
And then our games are awesome.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
So you can subscribe to all those guys. Fill the Trail, channel Fill the Trail, Shauner, channel Shauner, Rick, 28mm RPG, and Dice Tale. Dan is channel Dice Tale. There you go.
Great
Subscribe
content
to
from
those guys.
Dice
They
Tales.
all good. They don't
And
post
Rick.
sometimes as much content as they should. One of them posts more content than he should.
I like the blank look from Shauner when you said that.
There it is.
Well, I'm gonna end the stream now. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Take care, y'all.
Right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good evening, all.